Welcome. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Winners and Losers Show. It's episode 197, rounding the corner on episode 200. May it be another 12 or 14 years to get to another 197 episodes. That's what's gonna happen. Oh man, it's been, gosh, where we got so much news to catch up on. Welcome back to the show, everybody. It's just the usual journey. I have to crawl. I feel like I have to scale a mountain through my brain just to get to the point where I can finally turn the mic on and start talking and get everything going. So that's good. It's even though the thing I need to do is every day or every other day, do it a lot. But nevertheless, I've been busting my butt on other things and looking forward to sharing more about my my employment conditions at the Young Turks. This episode first, though, we're not doing a lot of TYT crap. I don't have it all prepared yet. Just going to comment a little bit on the previous video I posted, but mostly we're just going to get into catching up on some of the news that we got. I got all these little tweets to go through. Just a whole bunch of stuff I'd bookmarked, and we're just kind of going to clear all these bookmarks. I'll control tab it, and we just got a bunch of crap from the last couple of weeks of exciting news. It's been such a thrill for all of us news watchers. The world is fixed. Everything's going to be fine. Everything is going to be fine. We finally have reasons to feel hope. We are all set for a very easy, whatever 10 years are left of human habitability of the planet. It's going to be nice and easy for all of us. You don't have to have your bankruptcy debt reported on your credit score anymore. Did you know? They're going to do that. They might have already done that. I'm not even sure. They're going to make it so that you don't take a credit hit when you lose your house because of a bunch of health insurance executives and healthcare executives have robbed you of your last drop of blood. You'll still get a good report from the private companies that tell the other private companies whether you're a safe investment when they give you a loan so that you can live indoors. Isn't that nice? We'll get to that. That'll be the final conclusion, just to give you the final sentence of the paragraph of this podcast. So let's see. NLRB notice. Yeah. So the TYT stuff. I don't have a real thing prepared yet. I'm working on a detailed and clear and non-biased, or cutting out all the bullshit, the opinion stuff, the montages where Cenk says over and over and over that people should get paid family leave or sick days or health insurance. Not going to include any of that. I might make a comment on it. It's impossible, but just showing the paperwork and some of the hours and stuff. I can't show everything. I don't think. I got to be a little bit careful. I'm not quite sure how to do this. I've never done this before. This is all new to me. But I did hear some of the comments on the YouTube comment, or the last one, that like just show the information and don't do, I get that. And then that clip was from the podcast, and I tend to just like let it rip when I talk. So that's sort of, I can understand why, given the nature of this information, it's probably a turnoff to a lot of people. It's not like I have a foundation of an audience that really understands my deal or knows me. So someone seeing this for the first time, they're going to catch my whole sort of emotive outward presentation and kind of confrontational, antagonistic posture that I've adopted here, and then that's can contribute to why they might be dismissive. But it did seem some people were also like, well, that looks like misclassification. That seems like you should report that. And I was like, believe me, I've looked into that. So like there was a lot of the comments were validating, but also I agree with the criticism that, or with the suggestion, maybe we could say that a more like a less just the information, just the facts. So I'm working on putting that out and sharing a lot more. That said, TYT or because I know I'm telling the truth. I know the experience that I was under. I know why I wanted to unionize. I know that being labeled an independent contractor, in order to get the job, I had to sign an independent contractor agreement. Here's the three classifications, and then having my classification changed to two different other classes, so three total classifications over time, none of which was ever on full parity. with the other employees with whom I did the exact same job. I know how it felt to go through all that. I know what it felt like to take a day off after I'd been working full-time hours, 40 plus hours a week, not getting paid for holidays, not getting paid for days off, not receiving health insurance. I know what all that felt like, but I'm trying to convey it through what I'm doing with all this. And I'm trying to call Cenk out. And I want people to join me in calling on them to not just address this behavior, but correct the lie that they told about the union, how the union started. Cenk said that as my documentary, Tell the Truth, Cenk illustrates, very detailed. It took me, I've worked on it for years, so I've done a lot of research. I was there. That Nancy Pelosi, in order to hurt his campaign, started this union. So he was using that as a cover to prevent people from learning this stuff about what really started the union. In fact, this is not the full story. There's other wings to this haunted mansion that I am inviting you into my wing, but I can't let you into the other wings. It's not my story to tell. So it's not the entire story, but this was a huge core part of why the union started. It's not because we all got tricked by Pelosi's minions and were talked into starting a union at the Young Turks after our boss decided to become a politician. And that's the narrative that Cenk wants his audience to believe. And I want his audience to believe the truth. So I guess just to say, I agree that like presenting the information in a clear and direct format will probably help me jump past some of the barriers it takes for people to perceive me as credible. Because I get it. I'm kind of a crank. I totally understand. I totally get it. I feel the same way. You know how much I have to decrank myself just to function in this fucking planet that my parents trapped me on? See? I'm willing to call my parents for having me. God damn it, legalize abortion. I wish it was legal in the late 70s. Was it? Probably. Not really. Sort of. Maybe. Who knows? Who can tell? Yes, I ended that with saying I wish I was aborted. Exactly. This is the problem I'm having. Oh, geez, this guy. Maybe he deserved to have his pay kept by the millionaires. Maybe those millionaires that run that company deserve to keep the guy's money because he's kind of weird. Maybe that's the case. But no. Anyway, but the overall point too is like this article is about, it's all available. By the way, I should say the site, obviously links are in the description, but baldontheinside.substack.com. There's no fur on the inside. I don't care what you say. And in my case, I'm rapidly approaching no fur on the outside either. I might lose my fucking nose hairs. I'm definitely losing my eyebrows, so nose hairs. See, now I'm getting distracted. The point is though, why did we start the union? Why did I want to start the union? Why did I feel like I needed collective bargaining at the Young Turks? It's because I didn't have health insurance. I didn't have paid days off. I didn't have paid personal days, paid holidays. I didn't have bonus. I didn't have any benefits under the first classification. Second classification, I was also excluded from those things, except there was a little bit of nuance with some sick accrual. I was looking at the payroll records but that was zeroed out, whatever accrual that was, because I was classified. I should have been an employee. I should have been an employee the moment that I replaced an employee's job and then worked alongside other people who were employees. Imagine you're at your favorite grocery store. You see all the checkout counters. You look down the line, you see 8 employees, and someone comes up and says, well, one of those is actually classified as an independent contractor. You're like, well, it looks like they're doing the same thing. Well, they wanted the job. They were desperate. They needed the work. And so they're an independent contractor. And then you say something to the manager, oh, man, that's fucked up. Maybe fix that or maybe change. What the hell? After 8 months. And then they say, okay, we'll change it. We'll change it. We'll call him an employee. So these second 2 classifications are technically employee classifications, but they're not full-time regular employee classifications. And it took me 12 months to get to the third one. Right. So, okay, we'll take that. We'll, instead of calling that bagger an independent contractor, we'll call them a part-time temporary worker. And one of the things I'm going to show, I might even edit it on screen here now that I'm saying it, speaking a note to myself in the future, because I'm going to edit this. I have a very detailed, sourced from my invoices and from the payroll records, but it's very detailed about the hours that I worked, whether I worked part-time hours or whether I was working full-time hours or not. And I was. TYT's threshold for part-time is 30 hours, as it says in one of the letter or email to me inviting me to be hired, the one that which was only triggered because I had a meeting with them after about 7.5 months of working full-time hours. I said, I'd like to be considered an employee, please. So they invited me to become a part-time temporary employee. Yet I wasn't working part-time hours during that time either. So there might have been a week or two in there. But anyway, the sheet is very detailed, and it's also normalized the hours for like weeks where there's only 4 working days. You know what I mean? So you can't just say like, oh, you only worked 30 hours this week because it's like, yeah, because it was only 4 days of work or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's good to be very clear about that. I was not a part-time worker. It was not temporary either. And then in the third classification, I did get almost all benefits except my PTO accrual was less. For some reason, they still couldn't just give me the same label as the others. And so that's the wrapper of this whole thing is that from the first day I started working in October of 2018, I was functioning as an employee the entire time. And the person whose job I took, like that position was open, that's why they needed somebody, person was an employee. I have a statement from that person. And we started a union to deal with this problem, among other reasons. So I have proof for everything. But I'm terrified. Honestly, I'm super worried and nervous that I'm going to somehow get sued. I don't think they'll want to, by the way, TYT's lawyers, if you're watching, put a couple extra hours in it. They're not going to check it. Just bill it. Just do it. Come on. What did you become an evil scum-sucking lawyer for? Do it. Rip them off. I'm just assuming that they're always watching. Yeah. So it's nerve-wracking to do this. I didn't have to. I often wish I had chosen to just shut the hell up about it and keep it quiet, but I made the kind of conscious decision that it would eat me alive inside if honestly, this sentence feels a little cringy and cheesy, to be straight up, but it's also the truth, man. It's like, I thought I was moving across the country to join somebody's movement who was very loud about injustice. And I would have been quiet about it. I mean, it's not like that. It's not like I was just like one little slight or low pay because I was making $21.63 an hour while an independent during this entire time. But like I was paid less than every other editor there. That's very cheap video editing, especially for the goddamn great video editing I provide. But like, okay, fine. Low pay, work's not all that great, but that's everybody's job. I wouldn't have been out there making a stink about it. It's because there were some huge ethical boundaries crossed. That's the stuff that I'm kind of going on about, which I say deep down in here somewhere. So yeah, this is sort of some of the independent contractor things. So like, Cenk is a guy who will scream and yell. See, I can't help myself. I cannot help myself. Let's get into it. Here's, here he is saying.
As a new study just showed, we can save 68,000 lives a year if we do Medicare for all. Nothing else is universal health care. That's a giant difference. We've got to get the money out of politics.
Time's up. Gotta save lives. Not having health insurance can kill you, the man says. Where is it? So big? It's so big and dumb that I made it this long. Who the hell's gonna read all this bullshit? I do like the fish guy. I like the fish guy from Star Wars saying it's a trap. Who doesn't love that? Oh yeah, here we go. Here's Cenk going on about this one's not that long about paid leave and sick pay and the injustice of a worker not receiving what he thinks they deserve. What he tells the camera he thinks they deserve.
They say that you should not be able to take one day off if you're a working class man in America. Now you give all that BS mythology fables about, I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania, I'm regular Joe. Regular Joe stands up for a guy who can't take a single goddamn day off. He doesn't want the paid sick leave. Not giving you paid sick leave saves them money.
Saves them money. There's more to that, but yet we scroll all the way up to the independent contractor agreement up here, and we see no benefits, nothing. Fuck you. Get to work. So, does he really believe it? I think a person's action says a lot more about who they are than the words that they use. And the way they treat someone with less power, someone they're hiring, that imbalance in power is also it falls under that. What he tells the camera is not not how he operates his business. You know, this went on for a long time, and I was working full fucking time hours. So yeah. But again, just to wrap it up, I do agree. Like to get this information out there, I should do it in a way where I'm not just like flaring off with all my heavy emotions and stuff. One of which is honestly, I just need a good cry. I'd like to just cry for like 10 days, something, just sob and weep and feel sad. I feel like I'm so nervous system overloaded, and I deal with that all the time, every day. It's constantly just like, I just can't do it. I can't. Oh my God, I can't. Like my brain is shutting down. So yeah. All right. Okay. Fuck. God, I've already gone by not too long. There's a cat in the shot. The cat's behind me. Did she get up? Oh, good. She's still sleeping. Let's hopefully she moves around a little bit. Get that watch time. Okay. Get that watch time. Okay. Like and subscribe. All right. Let's go. Joe Biden, President, Emperor Joe Biden, the blast from the past. We all love and appreciate Gumpa Joe. AOC's a big fan. Man, fuck AOC. She's going on today. Sorry, I'm just jumping way ahead. This is not at all. But she's going on and on about Netanyahu being in the... So today is the February... it's July 24th. Netanyahu is in Congress. That's what's happening. There's protests. He's the Prime Minister of Israel, who's been murdering, with Joe Biden's help, hundreds of thousands of people. It's just one of the absolute most horrific things. It's being documented in a way that should be shocking your consciousness and raising you out of your support for this horrifying system. And, or at least you should hopefully it's radical. That's my only hope, is that it's some liberals are being shoved out of their, like, shocked away from that and being like, oh, it's just about violence and power, colonialism and capturing land and dehumanizing people. And Joe Biden's been an active and very busy participant of it. I don't buy any of the narratives that he cares in any way to try to stop any of it. There might be political costs, but right now we've got all these Congress people protesting, or not protesting, but not refusing to attend the speech that Netanyahu just gave in front of Congress. That big stupid marshmallow man, John Fetterman, dressed up in a suit. He finally did the honorable thing and showed a very rare moment. He's not wearing a t-shirt with a tuxedo on it. He's not wearing a hoodie that has a tie with a tie. He wore a suit, and I know it's tough to get properly fitting clothes for very large people. I'm on the bottom end side. I'm not that big. Honestly, I'm still in the size where I can go to Kohl's and buy clothes. That's a little bit of a. I'm in the tall category. I'm like 6'3", and John fucking Fetterman wore a suit to attend Netanyahu's speech to celebrate this child murdering monster. But anyway, AOC has been defending Joe Biden, making the case for him all the way up until he had to, vacate his office, which, spoiler alert, I'm sure you probably already heard about that. And now today she's going on Twitter, going on about how she's Netanyahu's a war criminal and all this bullshit. And I'm seeing that, and I'm just thinking, well, how are we supposed to take you seriously on any of this if you've been supporting the guy who is making it happen? You're supporting the funder of it. Joe Biden has the power to stop this. He could have stopped it a long time ago, and he didn't. He refuses to. So I don't know. I'm not buying that bullshit from AOC. I know that these politicians have to make all kinds of 18-degree chess decisions and stuff like that, and there's probably some room to argue about someone's intentions, and they're all opportunistic and whatever else. But it's like, come on, it doesn't scream real strong when the guy shows up and you say, oh, you shouldn't be here, when you haven't been going after the dude who's been doing it, maybe behind the scenes, or maybe there's some bullshit I'm missing. Okay, I had to get out of my way. I've been watching Twitter this morning, just going, what the fuck? How dare you? How dare you pretend like you care about it if you haven't been going after Joe Biden for it? All right, so okay. Let's go back a little bit. What's the date here? July 15th, 2024. I have a ton of clips here to get through, so I will try to restrain myself and not go on and on about each one. But I hadn't actually heard this one. But the voice of a generation, likely the person who was on the television when you were conceived, Bob Costas, because whose parents weren't having sex during the 1992 Olympics, had something to say about Joe Biden. He had a voice of reason. He's still looking good. Looks like I always feel like he might be related to Pat Sajak, but I don't believe that's true. I think it's just because they're both under 6 feet.
And many Democrats are still saying this. They lay out all the reasons why Donald Trump is loathsome and a threat to democracy, an existential threat. And then they say that's why we have to get behind Joe Biden. No, that's exactly why Joe Biden must be ushered out.
What are you, a leftist? What are you, a leftist there, Bobby Costasy?
Said at that time, it was so obvious, said it to Abby Phillip last year on CNN. Biden had a chance to be seen by history as a statesman and a patriot. He spared the nation a second Trump term. He could have gone out in a gracious fashion. Now, we can no longer indulge his delusions. It's a shame. It's a kind of a Shakespearean tragedy, perhaps with him as King Lear and his wife as Lady Macbeth, but that's all secondary now. Precedent doesn't matter. Oh, who's
King Lear? Was that one of the guys from O-Town?
The incumbent. He won all the votes in the primary because he had no opposition. These are desperate times, and they call for measures that are appropriate to the circumstances.
No, they call for frail old men whose shit is leaking out of their brains. And I meant to say ears, not brains. And I did mean to say shit, because he doesn't have a brain. He has only poop. It's a poop for brains guy. I wouldn't trust Joe Biden to run a microwave. I wouldn't trust the guy to operate a knife. The only thing I would let Joe Biden do if he wanted to help in the kitchen is I would give him a bowl of wooden fruit and I'd set him off, so he's not in the way. Because really annoying when you got that big pan of tater tots and like there's some old frail guy who can barely move and he's just like wondering how much should he keep trying to open the fridge, and it turns out he's just like pulling on the wrong side. Like the hinges, you're on the hinge side, dude. Just so you don't want to spill your tater tots. I would let him sit over in the corner with a bowl of wooden fruit and be like, apples, bro, the pear, and it's a pear. He put the pear in the apple. No, Grandpa, the pear goes, and then he'd be like, you don't need, just let him be confused about whether it's a pear or an apple. You don't need to. It's fine. We're not going to give that guy nuclear weapons. He can just sort the wooden bowl, the bowl of wooden fruit. Okay, that's why we bought wooden fruit, because it doesn't go bad. And he could throw it, I suppose, but that's what I would try. Joe Biden seems competent enough to sort wooden fruit, I guess is all I kind of want to say.
2 weeks before the debate was the Hollywood fundraiser. The Washington Post sort of went inside. I want to put something on the screen. Here's what they found about what took place at the fundraiser. Some attendees said it was even worse at the smaller receptions before Biden took the stage, greeting hundreds of supporters for grip and grin photos. The president stumbled over small talk and seemed frail, according to 6 attendees. For the high-level donors who were meeting the 81-year-old Biden for the first time, several said they found his decline shocking. Ugh. It makes me wonder.
You want me to give that guy $2 million? How dare you? The corruption in this country is so disgusting. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. Kamala Harris has raised like 100-something million, 81 million in her first 24 hours or whatever. It's only Wednesday now. She's only been she's not formally the candidate. She's but the whole thing coalesced around her very quickly. Like there was not a moment of doubt that they weren't going to just coronate her, in a sense, to use a term that people like to get fired up about, that this is a monarchy. But all that money, and it's like, yes, you've got a lot of money, we're going to raise even more money, and that's what we need. We got to stop Trump. I am on team stop Trump. I think it's important that we can at least pick a different set of capitalists, evil vampires to fight, and they're not all the same. There's a whole major argument and at least conversation happening on the left right now. I could definitely share some thoughts about that eventually. But all that money is just corruption. Oh, the donors really had a lot to say. Nancy Pelosi is just a funnel for money. She's just got all these contacts. She's the politicians are just who they let you see. The real decision makers are the people who are writing them these gigantic checks, And I just find the whole thing just so ugly that we still even it's just so normalized that this is all just bribery stuff. Like, why do we have the donors involved at all? Why is there any money involved? I mean, I know, yes, in my ideal world, these elections would be 4 months, maybe at most. Sure, there'd probably have to be money spent during an election, but yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be zero. I guess I don't. What am I even saying? But it's just so corrupt.
Hadn't been the debate performance. Bob, if the debate had taken place in September, as was initially intended with the Commission on Presidential Debates, I don't know that we'd be even having this conversation, because all the people at that fundraiser, Clooney included, weren't speaking until the debate.
Yeah, and to me, and this is for the stick to sports crowd, this has been so overwhelmingly obvious for so long. You don't need a degree in public policy from Harvard to see it and to say it, if you're willing to say it, any more than you need a degree from MIT to say 2 + 2 is 4. And it makes you wonder whether we've been gaslit by the Democrats. The Republicans major in gaslighting everybody with Trump as their standard bearer. But this had to have been obvious to people surrounding the president, people who observed the president. Wouldn't it have been an act of patriotism, if that's not too overblown a word in this case, to lay that out before the American public? And many,
yes, patriotism is just appeasing the ghost of an old man. He's so gone that he's like he's already a ghost inside. He's still a human body, and he deserves. Well, I don't think he deserves. I mean, my dream is that he should be roommates with Bibi Netanyahu in a prison cell somewhere, for war crimes, for murdering people, for being one of history's greatest killers of children. But Joe Biden could easily just retire, and he's going to. They're going to roll out the red carpet for him, as he is doing now. But what else was I saying? Anyway, Bob Costas made some good points. We got to keep moving, guys. We got to keep moving. I got to get food in about 6 hours. Here's Joe Biden. We're back. There's still July 15th, 2024. He's, I think, being interviewed. I don't know. This is Complex is the name of the YouTube channel.
Well, you don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist. And the Zionist is about whether or not Israel is a safe haven for Jews because of their history of how they've been persecuted.
Are you a Zionist?
Yes.
And that's why we've got to kill all the people that the Zionists. And then he goes on. He has a temerity to say he's done more for the Palestinians than anybody else. And I think that might be in this one.
Now you'll be able to make a lot out of it because people don't know what a Zionist is.
Great case.
Do you know what a Zionist is?
I just ask questions, I don't answer.
By the way, I'm the guy that did more for the Palestinian community than anybody. I'm the guy that opened up all the assets.
He's the guy. He thinks he's helping them. He claims that no one has done more. This guy is such a narcissist and a maniac. How dare you? How dare you? The story's coming out, and there's going to be many more coming out. Doctors are coming back from Gaza expressing the sniper wounds that are seeing in children, the double taps, and the degree of carnage and depravity that's being inflicted on those people because of Joe Biden. With his insistence, he could stop it. This guy's part of that genocide.
I'm the guy that made sure that I got the Egyptians to open the border to let good goods through, medicine and food but what's happening is, and I'm the guy.
And he sends them bombs. Let's just take him at his word if that's even true. I know he's done at these levels with the geopolitical, diplomatic communications channels and stuff, like, so he can claim credit that he helped get the Egyptian border opened enough so that some food and some stuff gets through. Okay, I know that it's highly dubious in the terms of how it actually functions with all the roadblocks that they have to go through, or the airdrops that land on people and kill them, or the food that gets dropped and then the Israeli military opens fire on people as they're getting food out of the boxes. But you can't say, like, I got the medicine and food while you were also the one sending them the bombs that they're dropping and sending them to some military support and parking the United States military everywhere you can in the Middle East to prevent others from intervening. The violence occurring there should be a global response where people jump in and say, stop. We're going to, like there should be interventions, but the United States makes sure that doesn't happen, because that would provoke the big baddie, us. And so we're the ones protecting Israel and allowing them to do it. That's this guy. It's just amazing that he claims
been able
this.
to pull together the Arab states to agree to help the Palestinians with food and shelter. I'm the guy, and he's
just this desiccated old shit for brains war criminal. Here's Joe Biden, July 15th again, 2:37 p.m. Clips from his interview with Lester Holt. Hard not to notice Lester Holt's hairline. All respect, my homie. I got the same. Well, actually, I'm quite jealous of his hairline. I would quite love one of those. Joe Biden's hairline looks way the fuck worse because it's got those fake plugs and, maps to sunken treasure embedded in the mysterious constellations atop his scalp.
Well, let's talk about the conversation this has started, and it's really about language, what we say out loud and the consequences of those. You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time.
So Trump got shot. Did you guys know that? Sorry, I know if you get your news from me, you're probably finding out for the first time right now. That was just nuts. I was on at the computer. I was just sitting. All of a sudden, you see the clip on Twitter and go, "Wait, whoa, fuck!" And you're like, "Dang, this is gonna be news for a little while." And it's been what, 10 days, 8 days, something like a week, maybe. The RNC, yeah, it was the week, yeah, 10 days about. And it's like, didn't seem to happen. Now there's all kinds of conspiracies. I mean, people know what happened, and some heads have rolled at the Secret Service for the security lab. But wow! And then immediately, though, Lester Holt comes out with this kind of bullshit, indicating you're trying to make it seem like they're that the Democrats are at fault for using some language that was somewhat specific, including, I think he's referring to Biden using the phrase "bullseye" at some kind of fundraiser.
Trying to put Trump
as if that's what got the shooter motivated to go do what he did.
In the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that.
I didn't say crosshairs. I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was, what I guess I was talking about at the time was there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him. Focus on what he's doing. Focus on his policies. Focus on the number of lies he told in the debate. There's a whole range of things that, look, I'm not the guy that said, I want to be a dictator on day one. I'm not the guy that refused to accept the outcome of the election. I'm not the guy who said that won't accept the outcome of this election automatically. You can't only love your country when you win. And so
good line.
The focus was on what he's saying, and I mean the idea.
But have you?
He's trying to bite the pear, Dad. He's trying to eat the wooden pear. I know. It's fine. It's fine. We can't go to the hospital again today. It's fine. Is that lead paint, or he's chipping off the paint though? We'll get him some new teeth, Timmy. Don't worry about it. Okay, don't worry about it. My grown adult son. Timmy in this case is like a 41-year-old, and Dad is a 67-year-old, and they're worried about their 90-year-old Gumpa over here sorting the wooden fruit. So what? Let him gum it. Let him chew on it a little bit, even if it is lead paint. Hell, it might even fucking help. You know what I'm saying?
Taken a step back and done a little soul searching on things that you may have said that could.
Do you think it's your fault that the violent rhetoric in this country is elevated? Media loves to pretend like they don't like they do hold Democrats to different standards than others. I think that's actually something we're going to see with Trump versus Harris, where we're going to see the media is going to bend over backwards to make it seem like Trump is much more responsible, and this whole post RNC stuff where the reporting on Trump calls for unity. It's like we've been dealing with this guy for 8 or 9, 10 years now. Like, it's journalistic malpractice to suggest he's anything other than that.
Cite people who are not balanced.
Well, I don't think. Look, how do you talk about the threat to democracy, which is real, when a president says things like he says? Do you just not say anything because it may incite somebody? Look,
that's actually a decent point.
I have not engaged in that rhetoric. Now, my opponent is engaged in that rhetoric. He talks about there'll be a bloodbath if he loses, talking about how...
Promising to pay the legal bills for people in the audience if they are violent. That was during the 2015-2016 campaign, which, of course, he would have reneged on. There's no way he would have done that. So anyway, fuck this old mummy. He can barely get through a sentence. It's impressive when he does. This whole fight was going on. Let's see what's next here, though. Ow, my fucking wrist. Wait, I went back. Oh, shit. Oh, yeah, JD Vance. Okay, sorry. All right, I'm back. I forgot what I was saying. Sorry. You got to keep moving. I was in the middle of some jag about Joe Biden being a terrible communicator, probably. But that's also a good reason I shouldn't have the nuclear weapons. You know? I can barely be trusted with real fruit. Here's more from this interview on Complex. Let's see. Biden is... I'm just going to jump ahead, but I know that there's this Twitter account, Halal Flow, is obviously referring to where Joe Biden, the guy pushes back on his giving. No, let's just listen to it.
Your stance in support for Israel has been unwavering. During the debate, you said that we are the biggest producer of support for Israel of anyone in the world. You also said that we're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. Back in April, $26 billion in aid was sent or was approved to be sent to Israel. Why?
I said defensive weapons.
Oh.
I denied them offensive weapons. They were using 2,000-pound bombs and the rest.
He says it's not offensive. It's only defensive. So those toddlers who they're dropping bombs upon and collapsing buildings on and rupturing their lungs through the compressive forces and the oxygen depriving forces of the way these bombs, depending on how close to the radius you are, that's all defensive. Those little kids, those cute little 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, boys and girls and little t-shirts, they're dying because of when a sniper lines up a small child's head and blows it off. That's a defensive move. Joe Biden would like you to know. Unbelievable.
I made it real clear. They cannot use weapons that we provide them to, in fact, use in civilian areas. And that's why I put together this plan.
Does he think that just because why am I even trying? Let's just move on. It's so fucking upsetting. We got so much more to get through. So then Donald Trump goes, and he knows that he's got the world's easiest opponent, that the Democrats seemed very determined to put up the most beatable guy in the history of the world, this Joe Biden fool. I mean, in their defense, they could argue that he's already beaten him once in an election, but circumstances are wildly different at this point, especially with Joe Biden's mental decline and cognitive decline and physical decline too. In terms of what's inspiring Americans to show up to the vote, to vote and to back him and to show some enthusiasm. So Trump had a decision to make. Who does he put on the ticket to go after him? And he picked old rosy-cheeked Appalachia boy himself from the great state of Ohio, not at all from Appalachia, whatever. JD Vance, who wrote a book called Hillbilly Elegy, detailing some relatives of his who had struggled, the kind of people that America produces, not just in Appalachia. God, I'm all stuck in my head about how to pronounce that now. Struggling with addiction and poverty and other things, and being kind of mired in the soup of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not failure. The soup of less than, damn it, where's my language skill? America deprived of your potential. Jesus Christ, I can't, that's not even the phrase I'm looking for, but that's mired in the collapse of human potential that is more than likely an outcome for a lot of Americans, for many, many, many Americans, unless you got to get out there and work hard and as they tell you to, like, it's your responsibility to get out of the life on hard mode. They privatized government everywhere. All this human needs that should be just part of a society that is determined to, use human ingenuity, the scaling power of human cooperation to provide people with their basic needs. That's not what we do. We make it so that you have to fund rich people in order to have any hope of accessing those things. And then there are some channels where that's possible, and then they get you to blame everybody who doesn't do it and isn't able to climb out of it. And it's just this utter nightmare. It's just life on hard mode. It's like you can change the world modifiers to be like, no, you want more stress, more raids, more. I've been playing a lot of Valheim, by the way, lately. So who did he have to pick? He was considering Marco Rubio. He was considering his son, Eric, or his other son, Don, or his other son, Don Jr. But he went with the Silicon Valley golden boy, this Yale-educated phony JD Vance. And there's actually some scary reasons why he's this is just a big money play, because this guy's dialed in with those tech billionaires, the giants of the West Coast. Actually, there is no coast. See, the billionaires, they don't have borders. They have a world that they have access to via their money through the ways that they influence governments. They don't exist in the same map that we exist upon. The map of the nation states that we're all we have to get a passport and stuff. And I'm not saying they don't have passports. I think they probably do. But those borders are a whole different membrane for them than it is for the rest of us. The nation states are for how they manage their workforces. Nations are just pockets of workforces that are used, and then somewhat to produce markets for selling crap, because we've commodified everything on this godforsaken, horrible economic system. But the billionaires don't have borders. That's that ruling class solidarity thing. Is they've got the stuff that we should all have, which is we should eliminate borders. We should make it so that you have free flow access to the world where it is, and all workers should live in a society with democratic control globally, not just within your own little thing. That's like a sci-fi concept as far as we can tell, but it's already a reality for the billionaires. The membranes that we think of a border is not nowhere near the same as for the super wealthy as it is for average Joes like you and me, and our good looks and our enormous genitals. So let's hear what JD Vance has to say. That we're going to see some more from this guy later. He's a real charmer. Sit down, okay? Ladies, get out your diaper pad, all right? Things are going to start flowing. Fellas, pull your pants up, okay? You might embarrass yourself now that you're about to show it off a little bit, because there's impossible. Not a single human can resist the charms of future Emperor JD Vance. Long may he reign. For some reason, I was going to call him the Commodore 64. All right.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? The media calls us racist for wanting to build Trump's wall. They censor us, but it doesn't change the truth. Joe Biden's open border is killing Ohioans.
Oh, America's first conservative.
You a racist?
Sorry.
They censor us.
He's a senator, by the way. He wrote a book and then he became famous. They made a movie that's really bullshit, and then now he's a senator. I fucked up the playing of this. I know. Sorry.
But it doesn't change.
I got lost with America's first conservative. What the fuck? How is that America first? Okay. I added in my brain an apostrophe S there. I was like, how could he claim that? That's such America's first conservative was King George.
The truth. Joe Biden's open border is killing Ohioans, with more illegal drugs and more Democrat voters pouring into this country. This issue is
look
personal.
Down, guys. He did this. He went. Wooden mangoes are hard to find. I should know. My grandpa ate all my wooden pears. I didn't think his teeth were that strong.
I lost my mother to the poison coming across our border. No child.
And I wrote a book blaming her and her community for it in order to convince Americans that there should never be any systemic response to any of the issues facing people, because stress is transmogrified into currency so that rich people can buy yachts as we continue the project of accelerating the destruction of the only known environment where consciousness is possible.
An orphan. I'm JD Vance, and I approve this message because whatever they call us, we will put America first.
Okay, I like the spacing here is a little bit goofy. Like, just raise up that top line and then change that spacing. Your kerning is all off, right? Or is that what they say? Conservative outsider. Is he? Is he really? The hyper-funded, I think he himself, I don't know if he's a billionaire yet, but I know he's a investor douchebag. We'll get more information about it eventually. If he even lasts that long, it seems like Trump is already looking to replace him. People are speculating that. I don't know if Trump has indicated that just yet, but yeah. All right. So let's just start at the beginning though again.
Are you a racist?
Me.
Do you hate Mexicans? The media calls us racist for wanting to build.
Honey, do I hate Mexico? Like a guy in his couch. Okay. So yeah, there you go. That's Speedy Vance. I think this is from a Senate campaign. Let's keep going here. Okay. So the RNC kicks off. Trump got popped in the ear, barely survived. His instincts for marketing kicked in. He knew exactly what to do. Take even more risk. You're not supposed to expose your head and your arms. The Secret Service is supposed to go like make it so that there's no sight lines. That's why they all supposed to swarm him. And he stood up with bravery and strength and the help of 7 to 9 professional bravery and strength people. If he had done that by himself, you know who's real fucking courageous in this world? Single mothers. Single mothers working 2 fucking jobs, 3 fucking jobs, doing everything they can, and trying to raise children because our society makes it so hard for people to raise their kids. Single parents, anybody. That's who's fucking courageous. Get the hell out of here. That said, a bullet hitting your ear in anybody, even I'll grant that to even someone as reprehensible as Trump, I will grant, doesn't matter who you are. That is the kind of thing that will elevate your blood pressure and raise your adrenaline, and so like I can't be like, oh, I would take a bullet in the ear. I would be. It's like we'd all be a little freaked out at that point. Trump's instincts for seizing the moment in that sense to get those photos was a sign of his talent at marketing, at knowing how to do that. So, but that stuff is just, I think we're in a whole different world where that crap is just more of the kind of chaos and the sort of imagery that will certainly and has been used. It's been sold already for profit. There was t-shirts produced of him with his fist raised within minutes, within hours. And already though, there's massive conspiracies. There's all kinds of people poring over every little detail. That's going to churn and take on a life of its own for a long time. I do think we should get some professional health reports about the damage to his ear and see what happened. I think that I saw some picture, again, I am skeptical. I don't know if it was legit, but they were indicating there was no damage, which seems weird. That's why I think it was probably a fake picture. I'm not saying I believe that picture or whatever, but until we have verifiable, like credible medical reports, we shouldn't think anything, and they shouldn't be hiding it. Why would you hide that? It seems odd. But I did successfully predict that people would be wearing bandages out of a show of solidarity for them. But one of Trump's favorite boosters, one of his biggest homies, the bebop, one of his bebops, one of his rock steadies, one of his grimoire worm tongue, one of his Vanna Whites, one of his Skeletor's minions. I was trying to think of like who one of his Godzilla doesn't have any underlings. Okay, here. Rudy Giuliani's walking. Of course, he's known to have a drinking issue. I bet this guy stinks. He just looks like one of those like old man smelly cigar, like oily. I bet he just stinks like expensive oil. I feel like that and alcohol. He's looking, he's hand in the pocket. Oh, something went down. Maybe there's a hole in the floor. From this angle, we can't tell. And then the guy has to run over. He sort of lands on some chairs. This is kind of early in the day, as I recall. Rudy takes a spill. One of Trump's Scottie Pippins to Michael Jordan. See, that's a bad metaphor. I don't like it. That dishonors one of my heroes, Scottie Pippen, who does look a lot like Osama bin Laden. You got to admit it. Sorry. They have similar bone structure. He gets up, he keeps going. This is an inspiring story. Inspiring. Look at him. Buttons his suit back up and he goes back into the battle. Look, here he goes. So I think he might just catch the carpet. No, something gave out. I'm in my 40s, mid 40s. It's horrifying. I got 40 more years to go before the merciful embrace of death removes me from this wretched fucking planet. And I can tell my body's collapsing in certain areas. I know that doesn't have to be the case. You could be really in great shape all the way up to the age of 52, but I am not doing that. I keep promising myself to start working out and stuff, getting some exercise back, building my tits, the muscle in my tits back up like I used to have back when I was a man. You know, I was strong when I was doing a woodworking job. You know what grows muscles? You know what is a good way to get your body in shape? Exercise for 40 hours a week. Exercise for 35 fucking hours a week. Doing physical labor. That's a great, do this. And that's what wrecked my wrists, holding goddamn vibrating tools and shit. I think all the video editing probably didn't contribute to the health of my wrists either. Stretch your wrists. Be careful. Don't just be a little conscientious of the even if you're just at a computer all your whole damn time, like especially if you're at a computer most of your time. Stretch out your wrists. Look up some hand wrist stuff. Let's watch it again. Boom, he's down. Onto, it looks like he's on the floor. Yeah, I think the seats are up. No, maybe not. But look at him. Dusts himself off. Sprinkles on some extra smelly oil. And moves right along.
He just took a tumble.
Leading the forces that the guys who are certainly going to someday support no fault, bringing back no fault divorce. If you're Rudy Giuliani aide, that's what's going to happen. Here's during the RNC, professional forehead model Matt Gaetz approached his eternal rival, a foe, antagonist, Kevin McCarthy, with some mighty words. And this is during an interview. This is in public. All the recording devices are running.
Speaking. What night are you speaking? Are you speaking tonight? Or...
So it's pulling them off.
No. Hey, you're not. If you took that stage, you would get booed off of it. You would get booed off the stage.
I like the guy behind him. Like, what the hell are you doing, man? So that's Matt Gaetz being a huge douchebag. That's what he does. He's good at that. He's got the confidence to pull it off. I saw him on an interview with the Young Turks, and you know, despite that, he's a super skis. He's that rich guy, spoiled brat confidence. We have a world where that can get you pretty far. So, you know, that's his deal. Here's King Biden, July 16th, at the NAACP convention, announcing an amazing and wonderful change. I don't even think leftists fight this hard for doing this, okay? Actually, I would bring rent down to zero if it was up to me. But let's hear him.
The idea that corporate-owned housing is able to raise your rent $300-400 a month or something. Under what I'm about to announce, they can't raise it more than $55.
Yeah, $55. So they can't raise your rent more than $55, he says, because he couldn't see the teleprompter, and the teleprompter actually said 5%. But this guy's brain, not only did he perceive 5%, because it's unlikely that it said 55. Maybe it was a typo. Maybe that's what he was getting. Like, why did they type $55? That's possible, I guess. I don't have the proof that that's not what happened. More than likely, though, is that all the lead paint he's been sucking off the wooden oranges. Wooden orange, by the way, it's hard to get the texture right. No, takes a lot of skill. That he just couldn't see it and couldn't understand what he was looking at, and didn't even think to process it in his head and say, "Oh, I've said this before. I know that my eyesight's not great right now, but I can." In my brain, I know that it's actually 5%. Also, it would be completely crazy for me to say $55 because that's never been our policy whatsoever. I'll just say 5%, even though I'm having a hard time reading it. Okay, fine. You can have bad eyesight, and I think we all kind of relate to failed eyesight here and there, especially as we age, as the Reaper's shadow grows upon our long loins. But this guy just goes with $55. It's that's what I'm saying. It's not the eyesight so much. It's that his brain doesn't do the math, doesn't bring up the 5% thing that any regular person would. Even a dumb fucking moron, even some stupid student government president would know that. Take that, student government president. What have I had a beef with student government presidents? I always admired their gumption.
The idea that corporate-owned housing is able to raise your rent $300-400 a month or something.
It is absolutely wild that they're raising rent. That the corporations just get to buy housing. It's so fucked the way we do this, the way we're in this country. Just like, oh yeah, you got to live somewhere, so why shouldn't some rich person just control it and own it? If you can have are there any other jobs where you get to use where the word Lord is in there? Did you pay your oxygen Lord this month? Did ya? Those days are coming. Lord. As if there's what, talk about a legacy of the way, like, people need to really need to interrogate, and I'm still in the process of doing this myself, but interrogate just the concept of land and our relationship to it and what it means and what ownership means and all that stuff, and your responsibility that comes from ownership, or your rights that come from ownership, or what it means to live in a world. Because anyway, I was about to go talk about 20 minutes about individualism and how much it's bullshit that we tell ourselves stories that we live in such an interconnected thing. The whole deal is this all single. The Earth itself is like one giant cell in a sense, and it's a little simplistic, but like, it just makes me so mad. So, how did Biden do? He's been diagnosed with COVID now, July 17th, on the MSNBC radio network, where the sycophants go to make millions of dollars after serving in government, and then there's this revolving door of media and government personalities, and they're part of the palace power structure here. Joy Reid, Jen Psaki, and it looks like Ari Melber in the middle, talking about surviving COVID and relating it to the Trump assassination attempt.
Here's the question that I have on that. These two men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID.
They cut.
Should he be?
He's barely making it upstairs, and they're cutting it.
Fine in a couple of days. Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough, older than Trump, to have gotten something that used to really be fatal to people his age. So if he does fine out of it and comes back and is able to do rallies, isn't that exactly the same? It's not exactly the same.
Yeah, getting shot in the ear is the exact same thing as getting world-class medical care in a team of horse tranquilizers. Or what's the opposite of a horse tranquilizer? Horse coffee, people who give horses coffee. But this guy's got all the support in the world. I mean, if anybody deserves to go bankrupt from medical debt, it's Joe Biden. But he's the president of the United States. He gets amazing medical care. So and the misinformation about COVID and like the kind of I don't avoid it on purpose per se, but there's just only so much horror I could take in. The way the disability community and people who have autoimmune issues and anybody who just doesn't want to get sick or die from something that's far more deadlier than the flu and still has a high likelihood as it accumulates with multiple infections of causing all kinds of severe problems, cardiac and pulmonary, with your cognitive functions and all sorts of other stuff that go on and on and on. With long COVID, this thing we've just abandoned, or the people we abandoned to just be chewed up by this during the pandemic in the first years. We're still in the pandemic, by the way. We're in the first about 20th of this pandemic. I want you to know that. Like, okay, first 18th. We got a long way to go. They decided to just let it rip. Never did a proper lockdown. We could have done something if anyway, I can see it's fucking enraging the way that, and the misinformation about science and trusting this company or that company and this government. It's just so messy. It really does kind of give you a lens into just the severe deprivation we've all been faced with, the sort of ways that we interact with our world and the ways that people understand these power systems. But Joy Reid, come on, that's ridiculous. It's not. first of all, you shouldn't go to work with COVID. They made it so that people do have to go to work with COVID. I see people talking all the time about encountering healthcare workers who don't mask or who are skeptical of masking or who have COVID and go to work in healthcare environments. And like working through illness is one of those American things that we're all such fucking conditioned loyal cogs to the capitalist masters that don't want you to ever expect to rest when you're sick, take a day off when you need help, or multiple days off, or not have to pay for it. Instead, we're trained to be proud that we're fighting through it. And a lot of people, that's not a choice. For most people, it's not a choice. You don't get to make that choice. So it's easier to just tell yourself a narrative that you're strong and you're tough and you look at me, I went to work sick. I went to work right after having a baby. I went to work after getting shot in the ear. Look at me. I'm so tough and strong and just unlike you. And then so then now we're generating shame for people that struggle and people that don't do it as well. See, that's me participating in it as too. But it's what an insane thing to say.
It's not the same incident, but it's an elderly man coming through out of an illness.
It should.
Pretzel. Hey, Joyanne Reid. The what's the name of the pretzel store at the mall? It's got blue and white fonts, I think. Anyway, they're hiring a pretzel twister. Go get a job, Joyanne Reid. No, she's doing well. I think it'd be a downgrade for her to go work at the mall.
A sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID.
I don't like going after Biden for the weak steps and stuff, even though it's absolutely, optics sense in the way Americans are conditioned to look at disability and to be inspired by strength and to be inspired. And I can even defend a little bit of that, honestly. I think when you're talking about going to war and the leader is this frail old man who rests on his way up the steps, that's an ableist perspective. And in my own sense, I have issues with my wrists not functioning and with autism. And I'm very much in my trying to unwrap my ableism, my internalized ableism and all that stuff. And it's been kind of a thing that it's been one of my many journeys, but seeing a old dude staggering around with tiny little steps, that doesn't inspire, especially when you're up against this existential threat of Trump and of the American fascism that has always been there. It's not like fascism was trying to arrive. Fascism was the core of American society. Like 2/3 of the founding fathers lived on work camps with their victims who they got to rape and forced labor. It's just fascism for white people is when we start calling it here. I know I'm oversimplifying, but let's quit acting like, oh, it's this big threat that might show up. No, we're just opting into the fascism that's imposed by the capitalism that Kamala Harris is going to represent, or that Joe Biden was purporting to represent, a slightly less toothy sort of fascism. But the Republicans in America are especially dangerous in my sense. Like if that's where our starting point is, there is distinctive differences that need to be fairly assessed. But this whole notion that oh my God, freedom, democracy, we got to protect it. You're not free. Private corporations control most of not just the government, that the literal government, but they are the government. What do you think your health insurance is? That's a privatized government. And they're selling off this country for parts, and it's just anyway. All right.
Be fine in a couple of days. Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing? That he's strong enough.
She's trying to equalize the credit that that Trump was getting all this credit for bouncing back after getting shot in the ear. By the way, the top of the ear, I would maybe add the bottom of the ear. But if you're going to pick a body part to get shot, and if you said, okay, you're going to get shot in your body somewhere, and you're going to play golf the next day, what's the best body part to get shot? Ear. It's the one disposable body part where you can go golfing the next day. Talk about fucking luck. I mean, my God, it is true. I mean, that dude was shooting at him under stress. I find it weird. People are like, oh, geez, what a terrible shot. I'm like, it sounds like he was probably, I've shot rifles. It's hard, man. It takes a lot of concentration under all that. I'm sure he was all jacked up on adrenaline when it was going down right up until that moment. So Trump moved his head a little bit. That is insane. I mean, if it had domed him just like, or even just like through it just, ugh, you know, I'm not against the violent stuff. I'm not saying I wish I'd seen that. It would have been one of those like collective traumas that would have really spiraled people into craziness if Trump just went and like just dropped out of the camera, just like, and then fell or went down somehow. But at top of the earshot, you can go golfing after getting shot in the ear. It probably hurts. I imagine there's pain sensors up there, sort of. But, you know, if you're going to pick a body part, any other body part except fingernails and hair, even if you got your nipple shot off, that's still going to be in a spot where it'd be tough to swing a 7-iron. But there's one body part where you can golf the next day, and that's the ear. Unless it's like a full Reservoir Dogs kind of removal, which would obviously be very traumatizing. But I'm not saying it must feel good, you know. And again, we should get medical records. Let's get some more out of it. So no, it's not the same Joyanne Reid. Oops, I just closed it. Here's Biden. Remember, this is our brave, strong man, the defender of freedom, the keeper of the flame, the fighter of wooden bananas. Can't figure out why it won't peel. Let's see what he's doing.
When he got down there at the...
this is a shot, by the way, for the audio only, of a Secret Service guy standing in front of the presidential Chevy Suburban. I'm sure those are like fancy bulletproof windows and stuff, and he's got Nintendo Switch fully charged and stuff like that. So he gets all the juice. But here's the old man entering the car. It's kind of a long shot. And we'll see how easily this fella can climb in and out of his vehicle.
When he got down there at the base of the stairs there, he was asked questions by reporters. He told them, I am doing well. He gave them a thumbs up. He is now going to be isolating at his beach house. And we did note he wasn't wearing a mask there when he came down the stairs. But it does appear once he gets in the car that he puts that mask on. David.
Puts the mask on. It appears that he might be getting a little help just getting into
like
the car there. Hard to
there.
make out through the rain what exactly is going on there. But it does look like certainly the president's feeling the effects of early in the stages of COVID, and many of us have been there. So we do wish him a speedy recovery. John Carl, you're reporting earlier on World News Tonight, getting some pickup
leaning
tonight
in
across.
Somehow. I think what he's doing is he's scooping up the balls that are hanging out the bottom of his pants. Here you go, sir. Like grapefruit in pantyhose, just like he's thinking, God, this is not what I expected when I became a cop. When I was talking to joining the military at 17 at the mall, because the pretzel twisting lady didn't show up for work.
Several news outlets, you reported on this meeting that Chuck Schumer had with President Biden. This was Saturday.
Oh, thanks, young man. Thanks. Are you my son? Can I get this? Can you open this banana for me?
And it was not long before the...
Why don't you just suck on the banana, sir? That's okay. That's all right. Yes, that's fine. We'll fish the yellow paint out of your poop. Okay, Republican National Convention. So this is the serious people. These are the ones. These are the guys that are imprisoning women for getting pregnant and having miscarriages, and the ones who are going to assert the freedom of all Americans would love to have, which is the freedom that like 0.5% of people get when they own everything and control water supplies. Your water lord, so to speak. So these are the serious people. These are the ones who are the real men and the real women. Even the women are the real men when you're a Republican, because they're serious. They know what to do. You can always trust them. This kind of confidence can't be faked.
I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
Got a good point. Is this one where Trump blows him a kiss? Okay, so professional character pretender, Hulk Hogan, strong guy. He is Bebop and Rocksteady to Peter Thiel in that Gawker lawsuit. I don't know all the details about that, but yeah. So Trump spoke, or who's this? Fuck, what's wrong? Hulk Hogan ripping off his shirt, screaming that Trumpomania has to put Trump in power. This is the sort of people that we're. I think Mike Judge, who followed me on Twitter, he might still follow me on Twitter. I always kind of want to DM him and be like, "Do you want to read my script? I'm doing some animation." He would just he would send a hit squad to get me. No, he would just ignore it. But I feel like Mike Judge and I, if we were buddies, he would find me very entertaining because I would be very unmasked autistic around him. And I think he's the kind of guy that would appreciate that. So weird. But I tweeted once that the only thing this is around when Trump got elected, that the only thing that Idiocracy got wrong is that there's not a harried liberal running around screaming, "This is not normal." And I CC'd Mike Judge, and then he followed me back. I was like, "Whoa, Mike Judge follows me. That's awesome!" Like one of the 2 or 3 good things I've ever done in my time here in LA. One was help start a union. Another was I put a microphone on Lance Bass, and Mike Judge follows me on Twitter.
I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again.
Let it rule again. We need rulers. It's crazy. Trump blew him a kiss. People said he blew a kiss. Let's jump ahead. It's not in this video here. One of the rare times where this freak smiles or even laughs. We seemed so energized by, he was falling asleep at a bunch of these things. And he didn't blow a kiss. Blowing a kiss is kissing your hand and then either letting it loose, like barfing out a cicada. Whew, like you either do that's a blow kiss, or kiss the hand. Oh, sorry, my wrist hurts. Bend your hand back and you blow it off as if you're blowing sparkles onto a friend before going to Burning Man or something like that. Those are kiss blows. Those are the 2 kiss blows. He just did an air kiss. He went, mwah. He just went, mwah. He just gave it one of those, which is fine in there certain circumstances. Bit odd for the guy who wants to rule the world, showing his affection for another man. Not that I'm against men showing affection. And frankly, I think men should show affection much more closely. We should normalize that, but not the way these weird kooky freaks do it with their hyper masculine bullshit and then their kissy faces towards each other, because it's masculinity is just this kind of a con thing, as is femininity. We're all humans. Yeah. That's right, brother. Okay, let's keep going here. We got about 100 more to go through. Nate Silver, fucking moron. You make bald people feel embarrassed, Nate Silver. That's right, I'm talking to you. He was so impressed with Biden's speech on July 8th, this is just tweeted on July 18th, that he changed his beliefs about whether he retracted a tweet. I'll cut this part out of the podcast. Fuck Nate Silver. Okay, that's not even a thing. Here, oh God, 26 minutes. We're not doing this. We'll do it a little bit. But big news happened. I made this video. I was just messing around with OBS and sort of decided to try to do this montage thing. So I posted this on my channel, Winners and Losers. It's various outlets with reacting to the news that the fruit sorter himself would be depriving the future of his wisdom and his leadership. Big time news. Everybody got excited because some serious stuff was about to go down. Perhaps even the possibility of not losing to the fascistic monsters. Joe Biden made a decision.
This is an NBC News special report.
Good day. We are coming on the air with significant breaking news and a critical moment in the presidential race. NBC News has learned President Biden will step aside as the presumptive Democratic nominee. He will suspend his bid for a second term. And
I heard that this decision was made within the last couple of hours or as early as late as this morning.
Well, let me ask you that. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Michael, but
No.
just as somebody who knows Dr. Jill Biden quite well and has
Yeah.
spent a lot of time with her, she is
Yes.
somebody who is obviously
Dr. Joe Biden's my pickleball partner. So I did like 15-second clips-ish with 2 seconds between, and it just shows me clicking on it into 2 seconds, and that's the whole thing. I probably should have put a little more thought into these opening ones, but like I just sort of let this go, and it's 26 minutes. It's a long go. It's called Joe Biden Drops Out Reaction Mashup, variety of shows and news outlets.
incredibly influential when it comes to her husband's thinking and decision making.
Honestly, now that I'm watching this, that second one especially is bad for the opening. I should have put some care into the first 60 seconds, just poorly done.
And let's get back to our Local 10 News reporter Samir Nefsi, who is standing by at Miami International Airport, where Florida Republican Congressman Carlos Jimenez just spoke to the media.
Yeah, Samir, I fucked up this opening a bit, didn't I? Yeah, there's Hassan.
Where folks are expected to gather later this evening to give their thanks to President Biden. But Fitz, you've been on the phone with Democratic members of Congress already this evening. What are you hearing from them?
Well, by and large, they're already officially become a historic run. It went from a rerun between a cadaver and a convict.
The cadaver versus the convict. So this is one of those coming up things that things do. I've done a couple of them. I think that's an algorithm thing. Or I don't really. It's not like I need that information. Oh, can't wait to see the coming up part.
There are decades where nothing happens, and then there are weeks where decades happen. We are in the week where decades are happening. We are now officially.
Okay, that's how his video started.
President Biden's decision to end his campaign for re-election is unprecedented.
That provides opportunity for everyone will be on full display at the Democratic National Convention in August. And the Prime Minister is reacting to the big news in just the last few minutes, taking to the social media platform.
We have breaking news here. President Biden has announced
this is Jen Psaki. She looks visibly shook a little bit. Yeah, I should have put a little bit more care into some of these edits here. I think I could have, but I was kind of messing around and experimenting and kind of felt like I needed to do it in a hurry. It's gotten already 308 views, but yeah, that opening bit kind of sucked, honestly. And yeah, but so maybe for future reference, I'll make them shorter and I'll put a slight bit more effort into it. But yeah, there's a whole bunch. And I was just kind of clicking around different live streams and different things and just sort of news outlets and a slight variety of other shows. Like here's Brian Tyler Cohen. I know people mention this dude a bunch. I never really check his stuff out. Oops, starting soon. Oh, nice graphics.
Didn't have a race for re-election. So I'm going to read a letter that Biden wrote.
Okay, Biden dropped a letter. Yeah. Yeah, now I'm going to beat myself up. I feel like this is kind of a miss. But maybe I'll mess with that though. Maybe there'll be I could do, because it's not that hard to do. It's also a lot less thinking in terms of the editing there. Even if I tried a little harder. Next up, so Biden's out. He's gonna take his bowl of partially eaten wooden fruit and retire to his huge bookcases. You know, you can tell someone's rich when the deeper their bookcases are, and they're usually there's either one red wall, but the bookcases are always like white, nicely painted white, just straight up white bookcase. And that's how you can tell someone's rich. Now, can poor people do that? Sure. But poor people got to spend their money on medicine so that rich people can have white bookshelves. See how that works? Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Isn't that the American dream? Here's a post from CBS News. Delaware Senator Chris Coons, a close ally of President Biden's, tears up discussing Biden's decision to end his re-election bid. Oh, I'm going to cry.
Respectfully, put aside your role as a United States Senator and talk about...
That's Robert Costa, star of Weird Science 2, where those guys, instead of producing a supermodel using science, they produce a news reporter. Because they have a magazine called Super Reporter.
Joe Biden, the president of the United States, you more than anyone perhaps I've ever covered, understand his home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. This is a retreat he goes to. The final days of this decision was not like Nixon in '74 at the residence of the White House. He went to Rehoboth Beach, your home state, to be with Jill, to talk with family members. Tell us about the importance of the site of this momentous decision in American political history. Him watching the waves at Rehoboth Beach down the street from the boardwalk and the ice cream stands, a place that he has gone to again and again, decade after personal highs, political humiliation. He always goes back to Rehoboth, back to Delaware, back to the family. And I know this was a heart-wrenching decision.
He returns to Hobbiton for a mug of ale with his finest giant cake, where things make sense, where innocence thrives. The murderer of children himself, looking at waves and stores and whatever the fuck. This is such bullshit. This is just that Americano nonsense. Fuck off, Robert Costa. Get to the interview.
Based on our reporting, but you're one of his closest friends in American politics. Give us a candid candid assessment of what this has really been like for him.
Joe Biden walks down to the plastic surgeon district where the Joker got his face operated upon. You know, those plastic surgeons that are right next to the chemical factories.
Bob, as you say, Joe Biden is grounded. He's grounded in his faith, in his family, and in our state.
Sorry, those earbuds just look fucking ridiculous, don't they? So this dude is a true lackey, this Coons guy. He's a fucking lying politician. He's just a scoundrel, just as a corporate scoundrel as Joe Biden. Delaware, by the way, Young Turks is a Delaware corporation. It's where companies incorporate. It's a tax haven kind of place. It's all legal. It's fine, but like they have very friendly corporate incorporation laws that attracts companies that want to, you know, it's every. Like there's tax havens just dotted around the world that corporations use to take advantage of the various legal regimes in which they operate. And Delaware is that. That's why Joe Biden's known as the senator from MBNA, credit card companies. So, and this dude is just a total goon and you know, corporate lackey and corporate ghoul and just a rotten person. He puts bald men to shame. Okay, you're out of the club, Chris. You're out of the fucking club. I have the most beautiful skull of any bald in history. And I'm willing to put that up, even against mannequins. Mannequins have worse skulls than me.
Excuse me.
Oh. I'm going to get upset.
I'm sorry. This was a very difficult decision.
I've been lying about Joe Biden for most of my career, but all of it, really. I just even lied about that.
And one that I think reflects the very best of who Joe Biden is. Someone who, as you put it, Bob, comes home because it's where who
drops tons and tons of ordnance on 4-year-olds and then says he did the most for them, who built a humanitarian pier, I meant to say, which was then used to kill 270 Palestinians in a rescue operation that saved 4 people. Who helps encourage the concentration camps the Israelis place their captives in, where they rape them with dogs. That's been reported. And I'm crying. This fucking guy.
Strength is. His strength is in his family. His strength is in our community. His strength is in his faith. And as he was going through the excruciating loss of his beloved son, Bo, it was in Rehoboth.
Killed by cancer caused by a military adventure Joe Biden supported, and who also uses his own son's death as an argument against universal health care. That's Joe Biden. That's the fucking person he's talking about. Uses the flag that they draped over his coffin as a campaign prop, which I find reprehensible. But yeah, maybe if you didn't send your child to die in a fucking war that you supported and killed a whole bunch of other people, you might have had your guy Bo, who sounds like he was a decent dude. For all I know, he probably had some corruption shit going on, as all politicians would have. But I know he had he had his own kind of like a lawyer political career too. But Joe Biden supported the war. He was a big booster of it. His ambition was to be more to the right than Ronald Reagan. So let's cut out this honor bullshit.
In Wilmington, in prayer, and surrounded by all who have loved and supported him for decades in Delaware, that he found strength as he was finding his way through the tragic loss of his wife.
So let's just merge like most of the states. We should do like 14 states in this country. Why the fuck is South Dakota, North Dakota 2 states? I mean, I know why, but come on. More people live on my fucking block than live in those 2 states combined. I'm exaggerating a little bit.
And daughter back in 1972 that began his career in the Senate. It was in Delaware.
Nonsense. These people are such liars. This is, they put this forward thing, like the narratives that they advance publicly are always in such contrast to the wheeling and dealing and the delusional. I mean, sorry, it's not, but like they exist. I think it becomes delusional. Is kind of what I mean. Like the narrative, they have this product that they sell, and then they have the deals and the kind of backroom stuff that they make, and that includes a bunch of the sort of high school bullshit, like the ego stroking and the loyalty stuff, and that also played a big role in why Joe Biden took so long to drop out, because all these careerists were looking for this guy to keep so they could keep their jobs, so they could also didn't want to step out of line. That's a huge influence that doesn't get like pointed out all that much. The amount of money that the consultant class makes, the political consultant class, and especially at the upper levels, all of whom get very wealthy off these campaigns and who are not going to pay a price when the worst comes, which is them losing, and then the Republicans, imposing a dictatorship. I don't even know what the fuck this is. I know this is VEEP. People posted this, so let's just see what happens.
I'm not leaving. POTUS is leaving. He's not going to run for a second term. I'm going to run.
That's Julia Louis-Dreyfus, the actor. Very, very talented. Came from a Hollywood family.
I did not see that coming.
This does sound like it was a funny show. I have only ever heard good things about VEEP, and it seems like a talented cast. So yeah, it looks like they nailed it. Here's Joe Biden. He's back from COVID. He went out and he got his goat paste and injected it into him because that's the devil. That's the animal. Goats are the devil, as you guys know, as is well understood. It's scientific. Don't blame me. I'm not the one who wrote it. From CBS News, former President Donald Trump told Costas reports in a phone conversation that President Biden's withdrawal from the 2024 race is a shock to the country. Let's just listen. I think this is probably Trump reacting.
Just want to go to Robert Costa because he has some new information. He just spoke with Donald Trump.
Sorry, we got to start over. Just Joe Biden walking down these steps. You can just see the osteoporosis.
On the record, Robert.
I just spoke with former President Donald Trump on the phone. I asked the former president about his reaction to the news. He said that it's a shock to the country. It's a shock to the country, but he believes it's good for the country to see President Biden decide to step aside. He believes that President Biden was pressured out of the race. I asked him if he's willing to debate Vice President Harris. He said, I'm not sure she is going to be the Democratic nominee.
I'm scared. Okay, so I have some thoughts about the way we all imitate Trump. I think talk about getting a whole society to inhabit your brain when every time anybody quotes Trump, they do his voice. Like it's almost like a weird spell that because you sound crazy if you speak any of his quotes without doing his voice. And you want to avoid that. And we're so used to everybody does like, I'm Trump. We all have our own little stupid Trump thing. But especially when they read like his Truth Social posts or whatever the fuck, people just do his voice, which means it's like for a moment you just kind of become him. And like if you're like an evil necromancer and you can cast a spell that when anybody quotes you, and by the way, you generate a lot of profit from media companies, so you get quoted a lot and you get shared around because you have this like preternatural abilities to like maximum con man skills. If he was an Elden Ring character, it's like his con man power is all the way up. But so he's a necromancer who becomes whoever speaks his voice. So you get to, and that I think has like a very subconscious kind of way of transmitting that thing. I'm less susceptible to those sorts of influences, but lots of this country sure as fuck ain't. RNC research, now they've got a problem. They're stuck with J.D. Vance. Because they picked him as kind of in a whole different contextual environment. I do think there's a chance that, and maybe this is a little West Wing brain. I've been seeing this comment, and I don't think it's complete bullshit, but that like because this is something I would have done, meaning like I think if it's true that this is the case, it's also very plausible that it was just like sloppy strategy, but that they intentionally knew they're going to get rid of Biden, but they wanted it to be after the RNC. Like that is a huge thing that you should use for leverage. You should definitely take a very important decision like that and not just throw it away and do it randomly or do it when you should, which is like what we would want in a decent society where we don't think about these kinds of things. But the way politics works is you look for opportunities to maximize things like that. So like the idea that they waited till after the convention, the RNC, and, given the ongoing circumstances that are going on, it does seem like possible that they had done that. Someone might even have accidentally done it, and it looks like good strategy, in which case then you take credit for that, because that's the way human beings can be sometimes, especially the kind of cretins that end up working in politics at these high levels. But now they have Kamala Harris to run against. And this is a challenge for the Republicans because they're going to just flare off into very, 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 very familiar. They're operating ethos, which is misogyny, sexism, racism, and all the other. So it's gonna be nothing but ugliness from here on out about Kamala Harris. I have issues with her as a corporate toady, as a DA in San Francisco. My big thing is that she, there's an Intercept article you can look for that I'll probably talk about at some point. I have talked about it on this channel before. There was an investigation into the Catholic Church that the previous DA was like undertaking along with victims of severe abuse from their clergy, from powerful community members in the church. And this DA was the person that she replaced was, moving forward with this investigation, cooperating and helping and working with the victims. And then she comes in and she squashes it. So like that to me right there is just an indicator of how power works, how the kind of craven, disgusting stuff that even just prosecutors have in our world to stop justice from happening because they have to protect powerful people who are, church leaders and church types in this country, unfortunately, have. That's another one of those major, like, disgusting parts of this culture is all the politicking that goes on within and throughout the churches that don't pay taxes, that benefit tremendously from the society in which they operate. And it is often a cover for enormous amounts of abuse. Epstein even offers some cover of that, because even though that's clear and flagrant, as far as the ruling class had their own little disgusting, supply of children to abuse, but the churches are the real, like, final boss in that story. And she helped protect a church, like the Catholic Church, one of the greatest victimizers of children in the world, almost probably worse than Joe Biden if you do a total, like, over the centuries. But anyway, I still felt at least some degree of hope when Biden was out, because it was feeling incredibly hopeless that the clear signals that the Republicans are going to take as aggressive, as hard a turn as they possibly can, was being confronted or was being battled with the weakest possible tool. Like, I'd rather fight them with a wooden banana than a real banana. Joe Biden, ironically, throughout all this podcast, Joe Biden himself is like a real banana. He's weak, he's soft, and he'll barely be able to put up a fight. Although not bad with ice cream and chocolate and nuts. See, that's how you. So now at least there's a chance that the Republicans won't get in. That's what I'm hoping for. I hope, Kamala Harris might shift things with Gaza slightly. I don't think that she will stop the genocide. Like, I think that if she wants to truly win this in a landslide, she should come out very forcefully. She refused to go to the Netanyahu thing today, but she's been a big receiver of money from AIPAC. She's got all kinds of connections with Israel. She's got a really kind of gross history that, she's just doing this for optics, in my opinion. She's a politician. We shouldn't trust that these people are politicians, but there is a whole lot more. The energy equation is rapidly changed overnight. All these Biden dead enders, all these goofballs battling with everybody calling, and it wasn't because leftists were calling for it. It's because people like Bob Costas and others in the the mainstream world, the George Clooney's, were coming forward, and finally with the Senate, Congress people and senators coming forward. Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama seem to have been doing it too, because they were reading what was going on. It's so clear that you got to get rid of Biden, they got to get rid of Biden. I lost track of that thought there. Oh, yeah. Damn it. So, but anyway, the energy changed very quickly, and the RNC is now forced to respond and to attack this person who, on its face, I do find some like in that lib in me. Most lefties I know were former conservatives or former liberals. I would never have called myself a conservative, but I was raised in a kind of conservative, kind of ambient thing where I identified with my dad, until like age 11 or 12, when I started thinking for myself, and I was like, those guys are all dickheads. What the fuck? And so, but there's enough in me to see, like, I actually am glad that the Republicans are going to have this meltdown over having to be, because for them, the hierarchy is their God. They worship the structure. They don't realize that, but that's what they do. They worship the structure. That's why they're all such cucks to their bosses and to Donald Trump. That's also, I think, part of the antipathy towards unions, because when you stand up and start a union, you're actually chopping away at the hierarchy. You're saying, I don't consent to the way that this hierarchy is set here, so we want to change that. That's what we did at the Young Turks. That's something I've been doing a lot of my thinking and processing about it. Is like, I was not okay with the hierarchy as it was currently set. I did not like the terms of consent as they were, and I wanted to change that. I felt like I deserved health insurance and paid days off. So I wanted to start a union, and the only way to do that is with collective bargaining, because that's where you can gain strength because of the scaling power of human collective behavior. Anyway, now their hierarchy is likely to end up with them being subjugated. And this is something about, like with Obama. There's this one guy on TikTok I like a lot. He's a very thoughtful, smart dude, puts words together very well. His name is Hype R Vigilance. He's like this fuzzy face. He's got he's this thoughtful guy, talks a lot about narcissism, and he has really interesting political takes and stuff. He's also talked about being autistic too. And anyway, I've heard him make the point multiple times that the having to have a black president really kind of broke their brains, and the response to that was then they wanted a white dictator in response. Like the backlash kind of flowed from that. And he says that he thinks that people underestimate how much psychic damage that inflicted upon them, thus the backlash. And a similar process is about to kick in. And as the demographic shift, as time rolls forward, more and more older folks are dying. Younger folks don't care as much. We're still going to take a couple centuries to unwind our racism quilt. Unfortunately, it doesn't just go away too quickly. But the more younger people are willing to assert their power, honestly, the only thing that's really forcing these old fuckers to get out of the way, as we've seen with Biden, is the ravages of time and age. Like they have socialized medicine with Medicare over 65. They have most of the wealth in the country with housing and with retirement stuff, all stuff that's generally not available to younger generations. And they're clinging to power because America also has this fucked up relationship with death and with the process, with the cycles of life. We're very, 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 I'm going to use the same word, psychically fucked up and damaged in that sense. I think I just remembered the point I was making a little while back. But if Kamala comes out forcefully against in defense of Palestinians, she will win in a landslide because the youth vote will turn up for that. She's going to pretend like she's not that for it, and I think she probably will be better than Biden, but that's a very low bar to clear. But she's going to do the bidding of her donors and her masters and her corporate paymasters and military industrial complex, because she's a politician. Nobody gets to this level of politicians without proving to the donors that that's who they're willing to be. There were some indications that donors didn't prefer her over different candidates before she solidified support, but yeah. Anyway, so all the RNC has here is making mashups of her being kind of awkward and being weird, and she is annoyingly. And it's not just her, but it's all politicians do this bullshit where they try to be profound. They think they're sort of like these cultural, spiritual leaders in some sense. In America, we apply our like head of state and head of government in the same person, contrasted to like England, where the head of state is the king and queen, which is fucking ridiculous. I mean, come on, guys, get rid of them. What are you doing? And but their head of government's the prime minister, so they separate that role. In America, we have that in the same person. So we all have these wacky relationships, and therefore politicians are incentivized to be inspiring and to, show themselves as historic world, great leaders who are, they all want to be memorialized. They all want to have the eloquence of Martin Luther King or somebody who truly did have a writing skill that has seemed difficult to replicate. But, so she tries this stuff too, and she uses this one phrase about being unburdened. There's also a mashup of her laughing. She's got kind of a goofy, awkward laugh. She laughs a lot. I don't think that's going to be very persuasive in terms of whether she should be not vote. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's bizarre. I think she's every candidate is different than the governing politician that they are as when they're doing their jobs, even though those two things are sort of intertwined, obviously. But So the RNC released this of her expressing the unburdened by what has been. And I'm already tired of people both sharing, not just this video, but like this phrasing. I'm tired of those sharing it because they think it makes her look bad. And I'm also tired of those sharing it because everybody's ramped up their fanboying of her. This like, it's anybody who gets super excited about politicians I find disgusting. I'm welcoming of the energy. I'm glad that people are animated and eager enough to try to keep the Republican wildfire at bay. But I measure people by who they hurt. And so it's very hard for me to find a way to get excited because they're a good person in any way. You know, it sucks. This is a major improvement over Biden if those are our choices, but fucking nightmare. Anyway, here's what the RNC put out.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be unburdened by what has been. 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 What we can see, what we believe can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
Look at Clinton in that shot. There's a Clinton. Hey there. Well, I'm talking Hillary, you're looking real tan. Hey, where's my Epstein phone call? Oh, wait, he died. Fuck Bill Clinton. Fuck you, Bill Clinton. Like, hey, Kamala, here's an idea. Release all the Epstein information. Let's go after these people. Let's do it. Maybe she will. She is from a very different generation. I don't think that's gonna, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's just nonsense sentence. It sounds stupid, and it's just her, and it just shows the disdain that politicians have for people. Hilarious tweet here. I retweeted it from Bearded Genius. Also a great name. He writes, never check your work email on a day off. And it's 2 photos of Wolf Blitzer, who had tweeted out that he was enjoying a spritzer called Wolf Spritzer. He looks happy as a clam. This is Sunday morning. And he's got a nice fruity cocktail. I don't know if it's alcoholic or not. I can't see the words. It seems like it is. It looks like a list of drinks. So he was settling in for himself. Rich guys get to order food and eat whatever they want. And then the next photo is him at the CNN studio doing his thing, being the professional wolf, the howler of words that he is. But yeah, never check your email on a day off. That's great. Very funny. Now the Nazi upstart fuckfaces, another shameful bald, is screaming and yelling about Kamala. They don't know what to do. This is Stephen Miller on Fox News, July 21st. That's the Sunday Joe Biden dropped out.
They held a primary. People, they had ballots. They filled out circles. They went to the voting booths. They spent money on advertisements.
They tied their shoes. They washed their faces. They put on their clothes. They called their children. I'm not thinking of anything funny. I was hoping something funny would come up. He's screaming that the Republicans are real big democracy defenders, unless they're trying to point out that it's a republic, not a democracy, that they all like to say. By the way, republics are a type of democracy, you fucking morons. Or that they try to do a coup, or they try to overthrow democracy, or they're defending this guy, or that they're trying to, they've already successfully done a judicial coup where they've superseded any kind of legislative or executive authority by planting political operatives into the Supreme Court and the judge appointments throughout the country, all of those ways. But no, he's real big on democracy because they want to keep running against this weak, frail old man, not this lady who's going to slap Trump around, because she is pretty good in a lot of interpersonal kind of senses and stuff, particularly compared to Biden, obviously.
And as President Trump said, the Republican Party...
Look at the Chiron. Sorry. It says Democrats in chaos. This is Fox News. Democrats in chaos pretend it's exciting, which is in air quotes. All this enthusiasm, this sudden upswell, all this like real actually Yellowstone had that's where Old Faithful, the geyser is that's famous. I don't think it was Old Faithful, but some other one of these hot springs had a big explosion the other day, which is real scary because the super volcano that's under the Yellowstone is actually what's going to cause Earth to no longer be habitable. I mean, we're doing it with capitalism first, but anyway, that's a side point. That's more of an astronomy conversation. What am I getting at? So the rightfully as almost a measure of the deflation we were all feeling with Joe Biden, watching this old man try to, peel a watermelon, a wooden watermelon. Now that's a little bit too large, honestly, if you're going to try to do it if for wooden fruit. What am I getting at? So yeah, there's a huge amount of excitement, and especially the stupid liberals, the ones that we've been fighting with for the last several weeks, going on and on about defending Joe Biden, these long haulers for Biden. They know all the right. They know we got to win. We got to defeat the fascism. We got to defeat the Republicans. Joe Biden's our guy. He's our guy. Look at all these great things. Joe Biden. And the minute the guy's gone, and it's so almost instantly, not literally instantly, but like within just a day, even less, as a person who can prosecute this case, who can speak in full sentences, even if some of it's a bit word salady, babbly. But Kamala Harris is such a different type of person than Joe Biden. And suddenly the lefties and the people calling for Joe Biden to drop out have a lot of reasons to say, I told you so, I guess is what I'm saying, even though that's not really that important. But it still is. Like, as usual, lefties are far ahead because if you ground yourself in reality and you end up seeing the world for the way power works, you end up in a political stance where you're less likely to have access to power because that's the way power works. It does not like people who want to flatten power structures. That's where you end up being in this frustrating realm where you just argue with other people who you agree with because that's a substitute for actual power. That's what lefties do.
Tens of millions of dollars running against.
And then we say, I told you so, when eventually things end up being like, oh yeah, we should only work 8 hours a day. Oh, you know what? We should make that 6 hours a day. Eventually they're going to be like, oh, 6 hour work day. We always do that. Like, no, it's always, the only reason you have a Saturday is because a bunch of fucking communists and socialists and lefty people organized and agitated to get that. If you like your Saturday, thank a communist. Yeah, it's crazy. Here we go.
Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Now they just woke up one morning and said, never mind, we're canceling the entire primary. We're getting rid of our candidate, and we're pretending the election has never even happened, and we're going to let donors handpick a new nominee. They're publicly held a primary.
I love it. He's so upset. Okay, good. You should be upset, you fucking freaks. Okay, JD Vance. I've been looking for this one. This one's exciting. Honestly, good God, I got to end this podcast here. Now, you guys know, you're watching me talk. You know I'm charming. You know I got it. You know I got Riz. You know I'm too fat for the shirt I'm wearing. It's literally unbuttoned around my belly. I could button it, but it's just, what's the point? Camera doesn't show that. I keep buying chicken and broccoli and eating it, but then my roommate will be like, "Want pizza?" And I'll be like, "Yes, I do want fucking pizza." And so I haven't been able to get some momentum going. But I could be worse. I'm not buying ice cream. I shouldn't be buying ice cream anyway. But yeah. So what am I getting at? Oh yeah, I'm very charming. I got it. I know you can't resist it. It's charismatic. I don't even know what I'm saying. In some moods, I do feel like I have a bit of that. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh God, here comes the self-doubt. JD Vance has it though. I aspire to the kind of fun and good times and cool vibes that this guy puts out. He does it better than anybody. He's got the beard. He's got the wealth. People have been saying he's 5'7". I think that's a mistake. He does seem to be about the same height as Trump. All these politicians will wear heels in their boots to pretend they're taller than they are, but there's no way he's 5'7". I think he's got to be 6, maybe. I think that was just a mistake. Because otherwise he's wearing 7-inch lifts. That's a lot. 3 is a lot, right? A 3-inch heel in a boot is huge. 7? No. I wear 7-inch heels when I want to be 6'10". Anyway, here he is showing it off. I'm going to get jealous because I'm charismatic. I'm charming. And I will never be this good.
It is the weirdest thing to me. Democrats say that it is racist to believe, well, they say it's racist to do anything. I had a Diet Mountain Dew yesterday and one today. I'm sure they're going to call that racist too, but it's good. I love you guys. But
what? Have I been lied to? All right, so this has been going on a bunch. What do we do with this one? Another one to swamp the vote. This guy's got a sign back there that says vote early, swamp the vote. They were definitely not for that last time. The last time they wanted to drain the swamp and not vote early. They were making this big stink about early voting and mail-in voting because that's advantages Democrats, it seems. And so they were making it seem like that shouldn't be allowed. Crazy that now they're just like, we got to get it done. We got to swamp it. We need to fill the swamp back up. Anyway, back to this guy. I guess I should stop paying my life coach for charisma lessons because this is all I need now.
it is the weirdest thing to me. Democrats say that it is racist.
Democrats say that it is racist.
To believe, well, they say it's racist to do anything.
It's true. It is. It is racist to do anything. It is very racist.
I had a Diet Mountain Dew yesterday.
That's the most racist thing I can think of. A Diet Mountain Dew? How dare you, you evil monster, you racist! You look at the signing of the Declaration of Independence. All those guys who just happen to be randomly selected, but yet somehow only rich white men. Weird. Identity politics is like a recent thing, isn't it? Except we're founded on identity politics. We're founded on excluding other identities from politics. Weird. But anyway, all those guys, they were racist because they had Diet Mountain Dews in the picture. Look closely. There's a Diet Mountain Dew behind each one of their panties. What do they wear? The leggings, the stockings those hunks wore?
And one today. I'm sure they're going to call that racist too, but it's good.
No, I agree, actually. I would prefer Diet Mountain Dew over regular Mountain Dew. I don't like sugary sodas. I like diet sodas. I want that taste of fake sugar, that chemical taste. I'm a big Diet Coke guy. I will drink that shit till it kills me. I've stopped recently, although I've also started recently, so it's not working out real well. But I love a diet drink. I love a diet soda. I'll drink anything. I have the sophistication of a garbage disposal when it comes to my taste, which I feel very fortunate about. Not a lot of autistics. A lot of autistic traits are like real food picky, food sensitivities. I didn't get that version of it, man. I got the opposite. I literally will just eat anything. There's one I don't like liver, although I will mix it into a meatball because it's healthy. What am I doing? This guy, is this planned? What is the joke here though? Why? I know. So apparently Diet Mountain Dew was marketed as but way back, but I'm not sure if anybody knows any of that. As like a hillbilly drink or something. So there might be some sort of legacy marketing thing that he somehow picked up. But Diet Mountain Dew.
I had a Diet Mountain Dew yesterday and one today. I'm sure they're going to call that racist too, but.
So Democrats call everything racist, and him having a drink. Like he didn't even say like I had Mushu pork, which is a race-based food. See, that sounds racist. Like, so this guy fakes that he's from Appalachia. He's not. I've seen trusted sources even who are there from there talk about like calling him out for the bullshit. And the word mountain, but the Appalachian Mountains are more like hills, aren't they? It's not called Mountain Billy Elegy. By the way, read my book. I've got a book coming up. It's called Suburban Fuckface Elegy. That's where that's my memoirs.
It's good.
So now here's the joke bombs. He got a bigger laugh off of addressing that the joke had bombed. This is where he should have stopped. He was already digging himself in a deep hole. But as you guys know, I can never not mention it, especially since we're talking comedy. I did stand-up comedy for about 6 years or so. mostly open mics, but probably a good 300 or 400 actual shows, but 1,200 open mic sets. More than people who dabble 5 or 6 nights a week for a good few years. Chicago was where I started, 4 years. Made some lifelong bonds. Destroyed 90% of my liver. So I know how to tell a joke. I fucked it up a lot of the times, but I know how to do a joke. I know how to set up a punchline. But I've experienced the pain of a joke falling flat and not handling it well. I did have one mini panic attack once because I just made eye contact with somebody right after a joke bombed, and I just went in my body. I was just like, oh fuck. I got pretty good at dealing with it though. I never got a single laugh my entire time. So I got a lot of practice marinating in the awkward silence of a failed comedy bit while the hot lights burn your face. I'm sweating like a bitch right now. I didn't turn on the air conditioning. So now he goes into this. There's every group. There's so many dudes. It's not just dudes. It's all peoples. All kinds of oods who can get a laugh in the right circumstance with their pals somewhere on a thing, or they said something kind of funny, or maybe and some people pick up on the fact that they might be a little bit funny, and they know when they go to that party that they're kind of funny, that they're going to say that thing that's funny. They trust their brain to come up with a thing, but doing it on stage is a whole different emotional kind of deal, a whole different gear system that you have to work on, get good at. Some people are very good up like right in their beginning, but it takes a lot of failure and a lot of practice and some natural funniness. I think I am kind of naturally funny, and a lot of gumption to try to do any kind of stand-up comedy. Politicians and powerful people who give speeches, people who have authority, people who are up the hierarchical thing, or even in kind of the benign versions of hierarchy, like a professor to students, they will get used to being funny too, because you have an audience that sort of is conditioned to that. I'd say like bosses, CEOs especially, powerful people tend to get really accustomed to people laughing at their stupid jokes, or even just pausing for laughter. And that's when the car broke down. You know what I mean? And then everybody goes, oh, I don't want to get fired. I better laugh. So people are just sort of conditioned to please, to service the ego of powerful people by laughing. And so politicians and senators and people at this level are very accustomed to that. And this guy can't even reach that fucking bar with this crazy comment about Diet Mountain Dew. And then he feels the pain. This is the awkwardness, and this is the stuff that's sort of resonating right now as far as whether Trump might dump this putz, because he's not even doing it in a funny way. He's not even failing. He's just being awkward and strange. And then this whole, I love you guys. That is like drunken bad wedding speech right there. I've given 3 wedding speeches in my life, and all before I started doing stand-up though. So I kind of regret. I know I would have given a much better speech after a lot more practice doing public speaking for 6 years. I want to get back to speaking, or stand up maybe, but I'm not going to grind my way through the LA open mic scene. I had tried that a little bit, but I also had a bunch of meltdowns and stuff in my own world, my own internal machinery was crumbling. But if my career somehow gets me to the point where I start giving, public, like maybe podcasting, like on stage or something, or part of some sort of thing where I get to talk to audiences, I will be so good at that. I love it. I got a theater kid in me, you know what I mean? I would be so fucking good at that. I'd be so good at fucking good. I would talk about how Diet Dr. Pepper is tasty to racists. That would be my entire TED Talk.
I love you guys.
I love you guys. Tax these fucking people out of existence. Fuck that shit. All right, here he is again.
It is the weirdest thing to me. Democrats say that it is racist to believe. Well, they say it's racist to do anything.
That's right. That's right. Here, he just opened the door and he stuck his neck into it, and now he's about to get smacked in the face by a bunch of limp bananas. This is the same. All right, here's J.D. Vance telling Tucker Carlson, one of the world's most dangerous people, in my opinion, he's clearly knows that he's a bullshitter and a liar. He was proven that in the Dominion lawsuit from the texts that came out because of Discovery. He's talking about Kamala Harris. So they don't know how to attack her. Should they attack her because she has brown skin? Person of color? She'll be the first South Asian president. She's half Indian. She'll be the first black president and the first cat lady president.
Saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And
Did you say Wait.
That they've made, and so they want to make the bunch of childless cat ladies.
I thought he said corporate cat ladies. He said corporate oligarchs, though. That's his buddies, Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, and all these are like some of the richest people on the planet. These are the oligarchs who not only do they want to control things currently, they're competing to have more control. And what they're trying to do, and I want to go on about this in some other day, but like they want to engineer a world where robots replace humans. I think that's where they want to go. And you probably think that might sound a little conspiracy minded, but it's not about robots. It's about entropy. It's about whether this shape human and this processing machine up in our brain, whether these two things together can move macro states to micro states. That's all labor is. Its value is the intentional application of energy in order to convert something from a macro state to a micro state. That is to say, from something far less probable to something far more probable, which is disarray, and to something far less probable, which is array, which is order, which is what value is. And we transmogrify that into currency because they have to store it in the form of, it's how time and energy is then applied into this economy, which then gets harvested by these fucking monsters. And they don't need your human body to do it. They tried slavery. They're still doing slavery. Slavery is still very much a thing in this world. Now they have wage slavery, but they're burdened by the sense that you don't always put up with their bullshit. If they could get rid of that and just replace you with robots, this world could be like 2 million rich people with just as armies of self-replicating robots below them that they command. I genuinely think that that's the world they would want. It solves so many problems for them. I don't think the world can support the kind of industrial capacity that it's going to really take. I think it's actually far more complicated than all that, but it's all about your humanity is a burden to the people who only want you for your entropy ability, your entropy tightening ability. That's what labor is. Labor is just tightening entropy. I'll go on about that another time. I want to write a whole book about it because I'm a fucking crazy idiot.
Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made.
I'm also miserable at your life, okay? And I am speaking for childless cat ladies because I am one. Is she up there? Where's my cat? Where's my fucking cat? Show yourself. Meow. She was behind me there for a while. See, in my wait, which one is the? Trying to get my finger. There he goes. Right there. That was where the cat was. She's a darling. We were cuddling earlier. She was purring, and I put my ear on her back in a way that I hoped wouldn't provoke her to bite me. I always worry about her biting. I'm trying to get rid of the cat. I want to find somebody who wants a cat, but I still like the cat. She's a nice cat. And I listened to her purr, and she was confused because they don't do that much where I place my head on her back, and she was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "Don't stop purring. It's a nice sound." So I'm offended on behalf of all childless cat ladies.
And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it?
This is crazy. This is this like weird Nazi stuff about the children are the family. Meanwhile, these guys will, along with Joe Biden, destroy children. They will not do anything to protect the children in the wars that they'll start and the resource deprivations that they'll impose on countries throughout the world through their colonial structures, which is what we call corporations and trade deals and stuff. But these people don't care about fucking children. You kidding me? You suggest that you should help pay for kids' food. We have lunch debt in this country, and these are the guys that would defend it. We put children in debt for food. Children. We don't care about children. The stress that it's just in the fact that we have to work so much and parents have to deprive their children of their presence. That itself is a form of neglect. You can't be a good parent in America. You can only do your best. And that's really fucking sad. And that's by design. Because healthy people stand up for themselves. People with community can take risks and stand up for themselves. These people don't mean a single fucking word. I think they mean they would get upset if you did something to their children. Of course, I'm not saying anybody should do anything to hurt any children. I'm not. But they are far. They're the ones passing laws to allow child labor. They're reducing the limits and stuff and making it so that legally you don't get in trouble for employing children. That's what they want all these migrant children for. There's no less powerful person in the world than a kid, a 14 or a 15-year-old migrant kid who got separated from their family and they're working in some hog processing plant or some horrible industrial facility somewhere. These guys do not mean a bit of that when they say that, but they know that you do. They're appealing to that deep, deep, deep human instinct, which I think goes back way past the original mammal. Like, animals in general probably gave a shit about their offspring in some degree. I know some of them are just like, some birds are just like, fuck this one. Throw this one out of the nest. So I mean, but particularly as we get closer to humans through, I'd say, what, 20 million years ago, 20, I don't know where the line started, but it's not just like, oh, humans are the ones, but like, no, especially primates, especially social creatures, especially social animals. The bonding that goes on and all this stuff. So they know that there's this instinctive thing that's deeper than almost anything else we have, which is save the baby. That's why The Mandalorian's such a good movie. Save the baby. Look at that cute little green baby. I want a plastic one. I want a plastic one on my shelf. I want one with a hole in its head that I could put a plant in. That'd be a fun planter, wouldn't it? Save the baby. Yoda. Baby Yoda. It's just a great movie. Baby's Day Out. You've seen it. You know what I'm talking about. Look Who's Talking 2. Look Who's Talking the first, the original. Casino. Where Ace Rothstein throws all of his ex-wife's expensive clothing into the fireplace. Does he do that? I don't know. Isn't there a little kid screaming and yelling in that shot? I don't know. They have a baby, right? They have a kid. This is what I'm like on a first date. But they know that they can manipulate you by appealing to you, the idea, the notion inside you. And you elevate that into your consciousness, as humans do, that you don't want to hurt kids. Kids, we love kids. Like, be careful. Like, I don't want to have children. I don't want to ever fucking have kids. I couldn't deal with it. I wouldn't be able to, especially with the amount of income I'm able to generate and all that, for a million reasons. But I'd love to live in a community with healthy kids and contribute to a community where people look after kids. And I could be like a woodworking teacher guy. I'd be like, all right, kids, we're making mallets. And I would be very good about safety. I'd give a great safety talk. I'd be like, I want you guys to all hold up your fingers and look at your fingers and look at your eyes. And then we'd have a laugh because you can't really look at your eyes. I'd say, look at your neighbor's eyes. And I want everybody to say, I've already fantasized about being a woodshop teacher. We're all going to say this together. I like my fingers and my eyes. And then all the kids would go, I like my fingers and my eyes. And I'd be like, all right, guys, so let's say it again. I say, and we are going to be, it is important that we walk out of here with our fingers and our eyes. And I would make it a game where we have fun talking about how important our eyeballs and our fingers are. Because when you do woodworking, the second goal is to produce a nice piece of wood for somebody. The first goal is to finish with all your fingers and all of your eyeballs still intact. And I think I'd be a good woodshop teacher. That's all I'm saying. But dealing with fucking kids in terms of like, as a parent, especially in the world the way it is today, no fucking way. But like a nice uncle guy, yeah, sure. I don't even know when my fucking nephews and nieces' birthdays are. I'm a terrible uncle. I'm a horrible uncle. I should fix that. Just gotta keep podcasting.
Make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it?
There's no stake in it if you don't have the kids that you can manipulate. I want to have lots of kids in case I lose 2 or 3 to the combine. That's a good reason to reproduce. Or maybe I'm going to need kids to wipe the lead paint chip applesauce poop off my butt when I'm 95 years old. All right. So speaking of that, we're almost done. Thanks for hanging with me. This has been a fun one, hasn't it? Biden says he's feeling well. This is Dateline, July 23rd, 2024. So Biden's back from COVID. He kind of disappeared. He made his dropout tweet and posts and letter, and then didn't show up. The guy's got COVID. I hope he gets long COVID, meaning like I hope that like it's funny that he said in that like we beat the pandemic. He did that while having COVID. The amount of people that we've abandoned to it. And if you do get it, you got to go give a bunch of rich people money so you can get health care for it too, which is just insane. Just like I don't know. I can't get my head around the brutality of it. I try in that article I wrote about the Young Turks, the one on Substack. That's probably where I'm going to get sued for pointing out that TYT's number 2 guy is this dude who was a health insurance executive in his career before the Young Turks. Maybe he feels bad. I mean, I'll give him some space for that. Perhaps that's a possibility. Maybe he's like, oh my God, I can't believe all the people whose lives I wrecked with this health insurance executive job. So I'm going to go work in progressive media. But then they have like employment policies at TYT, at least in my case, I can't speak for others, where I was prevented from having health insurance. So perhaps that's not the case, who knows, but hard to say. Anyway, it's got me thinking a ton about health insurance and the monstrosity of it all. Cause I used to watch a show where the guy who hosted it, would scream and yell about how damaging and terrible it is that people are denied health insurance at their workplaces. I wonder if they care about any of that. They're probably just looking for reasons to sue me, but maybe people don't care. I don't know. Anyway, COVID is just a profit center now. COVID just became yet another thing that the evil vampires use to gain from your pocketbook. So you're injured, you're sick, you're scared, you're worried, you're stressed. Well, time to spend some fucking money. Here we go. But this is fine. He doesn't have to. The money's no object here. It's getting out of a truck, one of those big black SUVs. He's back, baby. He salutes.
Mr. President, how are you feeling?
He looks like a kite that just gained consciousness somehow. Like if Pinocchio was made out of paper mache.
Mr. President, how are you feeling?
Are you feeling okay, Mr. President?
You can come talk to us. Why did you drop out, Mr. President?
Mr. President, I've got your nose. Mr. President, I got it. It's right here. I got your nose. Look out. Mr. President, have you seen my mom's wooden tangerine? It probably looked like an orange to you, but it's smaller.
How are you feeling about Harris's campaign?
Mr. President, do you have the same hope that we all do that there will never be another fucking dumbass white guy in presidency, at least for the next 300 or 400 years? Because it kind of didn't really prove that you're really a responsible type of people. Mr. President?
Can Harris beat Trump, Mr. President?
Mr. President, could you pick up some lotto tickets on your way home? We got to get out of this hellhole. Go ahead, take the money. Look at him. Well, he's making some steps. He's doing okay. There he goes. Oh, turns around. Gives a salute. A thumbs up. A wave. There you go. Just all that machinery costs like more than you'll ever make in your fucking life, just so we could keep these ghosts alive. It's horrible. So here's Joe Biden again, first public appearance since COVID. This might be the same shot from just a different angle. The plane says United States on the side of it, but it's not the United States because it's intact and it doesn't look like it's falling apart. Oh, same shot.
How are you feeling?
Good.
How are you feeling since you dropped out?
Mr. President. I can't. I was going to say something about his dog biting him, but it wasn't. So where's the shot? Okay, here's the wide shot. Here we go. Let's get the wide shot.
To that effect, but nothing substantial from...
Unfortunately, we did not see him fall down the stairs. We were hoping he would trip and fall down the stairs and the osteoporosis would leak out of his mouth and his desiccated old body. But sadly, the president holding a mask is just going to go. The seal of the presidency of the United States is on the door as he steps inside, presumably to cough COVID all over David Axelrod.
Position of those reporters where you're desperately trying to lure him over to speak at greater length, but it didn't work for them on that occasion.
Well, they do when they want to.
He'll find the pot of gold at the bottom of the sea. I don't think those guys are Irish. I think they might have been. Okay, so here's future President Kamala Harris. President Harris. Kamala HQ. Vice President Harris. We are finally making it so that medical debt can no longer be used against your credit score. I know I told you about this earlier. Ow, I just hurt my wrist. Fuck. The left one's bad. I should. She is a leader, an inspiring figure. Now let's keep pushing hard. But what more do you want, lefties? What more do you think you're going to get? Why would you want more than this? You are a miracle. An unlikely composition that the universe itself self-generated by your parents having sex. And then you now exist, this miraculous thing, this tightly wound ball of entropy, and your brain can hold abstraction so much better than almost anything else in the world. Okay? Other than maybe against other humans. And we're trying to invent mechanical entropy forms, computers that will replace you. So that would be, good for the rich people. And you're capable of joy, and you're capable of love, and you're capable of experience, and you're capable of relaxation, and you're capable of rest, and of being someone else's source for all those things. Because everything we do, when we do it together, there's no genocide we can't commit. Sorry, I'm quoting Joe Biden. But our bonds and the sacredness of your existence, and I'm saying this as an atheist, but the likelihood that you are the trillions and trillions of atoms that you are in this singular formation, capable of self-awareness to some degree. Let's be honest. You could do with a little more self-awareness, okay? You got a food stain on your face. You're a miracle of a constellation of I don't even want to say accidents, but of improbability. And you live in a society of others just like you. And this is the peak of human achievement, what this lady's about to say right now. This very powerful person, arguably one of the most powerful people, possibly the most powerful person in the world. At least in January, maybe.
In this moment,
oh yes,
I believe we face a choice between two different visions for our nation.
One is fascism.
One focused on the future.
Ooh.
The other focused on the past. And with your support, I am fighting for our nation's future.
It's not for the past.
And let us be clear about what that future looks like.
Inspire me.
I know the leaders in this room, and I know the future we believe in and we fight for. We here believe in a future where, for example, everyone has affordable health care.
Oh my God, you could pay someone.
Which is why our administration capped the cost of insulin for our seniors at $35 a month.
Oh my God.
We believe in a future where no child has to grow up in poverty.
Yes, well, they'll work on that in the future. We could fix that right now, by the way. We don't have to. That is the root code of the economic system, is that you're deprived, and so that you become.
Help pass the child tax credit, which cut child poverty in half, and cut black child poverty even more.
Look, let's hope she brings that back, or at least fights hard for it. It's going to meet a bunch of resistance. Cutting child poverty in half was a wonderful thing. It only lasted a little while. They got rid of it. It did meet a bunch of resistance in the Senate. It's been a very tight thing. The way we make decisions as this government does is not ideal, but very tragic that we were just like, oh yeah, we'll just stop this. We'll just raise child poverty back up a bunch.
We believe in a future where the economy works for working people.
lady, it's the opposite. Working people work for the economy. And the economy is whether rich people's investments are going up. They want that line. Line's got to go up. That's what the working class does. The working class produces labor, takes the risks, puts their bodies on the line, and that line goes up. I was making woodworking products for millionaires, billionaires. And now I can't use my hands as much as I could. I can't push off someone pushing me. I'd have to go, oh, fuck, I can't push. I can't open a door with, I have not opened a door with my hands like that in 3 years. I have to use my fist. It's fucking embarrassing.
That is why we forgave student loan debt for more than 5 million Americans.
And you have the power to do all the rest. By the end of the day, fucking assholes, do more.
And if you or anyone you know benefited from that, please testify.
There it goes. She's excited. I hate fucking politicians so much.
And we are finally making it so that medical debt can no longer be used against your credit score.
Oh! Everybody go crazy! The vampires can't write down on their credit score companies that you went poor because you couldn't have enough money for the other vampires. First of all, that just means that they're somehow going to enforce that. I don't even know if that's law or not. Forgive me for being ignorant about that right now, but
because of our collective,
it's weird that that's like the big one. How is child poverty not the big one here in the speech? It's weird to be like, and by the way, for my finishing move. Here, let's listen again.
Longer be used against your credit score.
Yeah, the thing that was invented in the late 80s in order to trap people into debt peonage. This credit score is they didn't used to have credit scores. It's another tool for social engineering that the rich use.
And it is because of our...
I'm so thrilled. You can still go bankrupt, but we'll still be able to put you in debt. That's what that does. It says, oh, just because that you're now in severe debt doesn't mean that we won't let you go into even more debt because the score won't be so bad. The boomers, and I'm sure my credit's probably not great. I don't have any credit. I went through a bankruptcy thing. I've had some issues with finances and stuff. It's really honestly terrifying. I have a retirement plan, and it's would probably get me banned on YouTube if I said what it is, because it's literally the only option available to me that feels achievable. So it's depressing and sad. And yeah, anyway, that's a bummer. But they love their credit scores, and it's like it's just one of those things where you just take what the society offers. Like, oh well, suddenly we all have to like worry about these fucking. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be some discretion used by banks or whatever, since loans have to go to people who can pay them back and the debt instruments and all this bullshit. But it's amazing the compliance with our own oppression that we do. You know, we have to participate in it though. That's what power is that you don't have to put up, is that you have to put up with the bullshit that they make you put up with. And they hate it when you stand up and say, I'm not putting up with this bullshit. Again, that's what the TYT story is about. There was some bullshit going on, as I call it, bullshit ass bullshit in the piece. And I, not the NLRB notice. No. The thing that they had on their wall for 60 days that they did not share with their audience. No, definitely not that. Yeah, let's just finish this.
Collective vision for the future that we continue to fight for affordable child care, affordable elder care, and paid family leave.
Affordable. They love that word affordable. I hate it. That's what they use, the affordable or access to, which means I have access to a Ferrari. I don't think childcare should even involve money. I think people who do it should deserve to be paid. I'm not talking about like free in that paradigm, but the notion that a community of people requires that you have to generate profits for the wealthy so that you can maybe have enough of your own value returned to you so that you can give it away to these expensive. Childcare is insanely expensive, and it shouldn't. I know there's a lot of other people that know far more about it than I do, but yeah, like the idea that it's affordable at all. Why should there be any money involved? The whole point I want to get at is I want to slay the god of money. The final boss of our world is the god of money. And I don't necessarily think we'll ever get rid of it in our lifetime. My kind of sentence there, my kind of line is that we need receipts. We don't need money. It's good to write stuff down, but money should just be like a lubricant that allows things to happen. Even with some market dynamics, in terms of the way commodities are produced and distributed and all that stuff. But the idea that we have this money supremacy, this money obsession, this money cult is because we all aspire to be an owner, because those are the only people who are allowed to have enough money that they get to experience the luxury of community. They get to experience the comfort that comes from knowing that you can afford to pay for the benefit of collective power, as opposed to having to sell your body in order to have the slightest access to enough resources that you can feed and house and clothe yourself, only to the degree that you can exist, come back and continue to produce money for them via your body's ability to tighten entropy. All right. We nailed it. This was a good one. 2 hours and 28 minutes or something. That's at least what OBS says right now. So check out the piece coming up soon. I think I'm going to read this whole thing. That might be something. I do like this part here. This email from Cenk where he worried about his reputation and being known as a boss who treats his employees poorly. Something I'm going to put in the film is this whole line up here, and it's actually already in Tell the Truth, Cenk. It's near the end of the second big chunk about this sentence here. No one ever raised a single issue, and then we were suddenly engaged in some sort of trench warfare as if we're evil management that deprives their employees of the basics. No one ever raised a single issue. Look at this. Look at this, an email from someone raising issues. Hey, can you pay me? Can I get paid for the work I did? I wrote, excluding me. I literally wrote this. I wrote, I received no payment for any of that time, including, this is the third hiring 12 months after working full time. They're finally going to give me benefits, almost to the point that the others got it. I said, I received no payment for any of that time, including Labor Day, and feel that since I did a comparable amount of work as those who did get paid for time off, it would be appropriate to compensate me for time off. Excluding me from that benefit, despite working 40-hour weeks, makes no sense and is unfair. In the part 2 of this email, I was wondering, they said they were going to prorate my participation in a compensation plan. And I was like, so which hiring date are we prorating from? Are we doing this one? Are we doing the other hiring date, or are we doing the first hiring? Which of the 3 hiring days? It's such bullshit. I should have been an employee from the beginning. I should have gotten benefits from the beginning. And I would have been okay with not getting benefits for a month or 2. You know, if it was a trial period, I'm not going to write an article about that. That would have sucked. That would have been wrong, but that would have also been one of those skeletons we could have kept buried. But no, this guy here writes that no one raised an issue. As if we're evil management that deprives employees of the basics. Gosh, why would someone who's deprived of the basics want a union? He says they don't deprive anybody of the basics. Really? Really? Working full-time video editing alongside others who were classified differently, who got benefits. Does this look like the basics? So, but yeah, I got to do like a sterile version of this because I know people, adding my kind of emotional sort of writer, the biases that are kind of built into that are all, that could be off-putting for people. I know I know it's about making like people, I don't even say people are defensive, but like just sort of like there's kind of a thresholds that I have to cross as somebody who's introducing myself for the first time to a lot of people. So I get it. I think that's actually fair. But yeah, this one's just funny to me. Boss who treats this. Oh, sorry, I can't stop. But here at the bottom, this third paragraph, before IATSE came in, I think we used to have a great relationship with everyone at the company, but maybe I am Michael Scott. Yeah, that's a good comparison to the guy that's famously known as a shitty boss, but he's got the charming fun of a professional comedian guy named Steve Carell, who is just a likable dude. Why would you pick that? Like he was duped. I thought we were friends and family. But you never saw it that way. Now, here's the part. I'm hoping that isn't the case, that some folks got you to believe. That line right there, that some folks got you to believe. I think that reveals a lot about what Cenk felt happened, or what he told his audience. And if he sincerely believed that, he could even include that when he comes out and finally addresses this. I believed that they were tricked, but he has to prove that he has to explain why me coming out in the first day that the union busting was public on, there was all kinds of reasons why why that story was bullshit, is what I'm saying. But so either he thinks we were in on it, that we wanted to harm his campaign by forming a union, which is insane. By the way, the union, if he had just accepted it through voluntary recognition, he'd still be able to brag about it. It'd still be a bright spot in his career. So stupid. But so, yeah, I think this kind of gives away what is happening. Yeah. It's just, I can't scroll it for the way it's framed up there. That some folks got you to believe. So he's even in the union busting emails that he sent, this is what he sent before the final, the second election that the workers had to do, that they were manipulated, because this would include me. I was part of the origination. I wasn't there for the union busting because I got laid off, but I was very much part of the origination of it. That's what this whole thing is about. But that some folks got you to believe that we were somehow duped, that our moronic brains were manipulated into this, that being adversarial with management is the right thing to do. No, maybe what the right thing to do was to stand up for each other, because especially in one person's case, mine, I deserve to go to a doctor and I deserve to have paid days off. And we thought we saw an injustice that we wanted to fix. Not that adversarial with management is that we were tricked into thinking that it's the right thing to do. Cenk is always talking about standing up for yourself, standing up against the powers that be, speaking truth to power. And that's exactly what we did. We lived the principles that his audience thinks they pay for, and he lied to his audience because he's afraid that they'll learn the kind of person he is, that he's a boss who treats his workers poorly. If that's the case and you want to continue fighting me and TYT out of principle, yes, you should fight over your principles, because the principles that Cenk gives his audience are different than the ones that are contained in the contracts that he makes people sign, so that he can keep money that they earned when they take vacations and when they take days off. The money that I didn't get paid, that I earned, still not in the correct bank account. So that's what you fight over, principles. It's just amazing. So yeah, okay, final comment here. This is another revealing statement here. If you think I won't give you a union, first of all, what's with the commas? Come on, what's with these weird commas? You're wrong. All you have to do is vote. So his belief is still that it's up to him. That's the thing I think this guy doesn't get, because he's a, control based. I'm trying to pick my words carefully here. If you think I won't give you a union, you've already rejected it. You hire union busting law firms. You lied about us to the audience. You've been doing classic union busting tactics. Why would they think you want to give them a union? But the point is, the right to assembly, the freedom of assembly, is a fundamental, constitutionally protected right, which is what underpins collective bargaining. You want to live in a world where the powers that be say that you're not allowed to assemble into a group? What kind of totalitarian society would that be? It's a fundamental thing. And it's not up to them. It's not up to you. It's not, I won't give you a union, as if he's the final arbiter on it. It would have been interesting if he kept fighting it even after that. But that's where the governmental regulations come in. And that's where the appointments of whether or not it's a Republican or a Democratic appointee inside the administrative apparatus can have a major difference on the person, on the type of people who operate these governmental entities. But yeah, this sentence always jumped out at me too. All right, Jace. Yeah, obviously I got a lot on my head about a whole story. So there's a ton more to say. Hopefully I'll reach a bigger audience, and someday I'd like to see this story covered by those progressive outlets that were part of the documentary, the ones that are in it, the ones that are covering Cenk's campaign. It's an interesting thing that there hasn't been any. I know the world's filled with all kinds of far more chaotic and important stories. I understand that in that sense. I get like this is not the most important deal, but yeah, I think if I just keep kind of squeaking my wheel, take care of my brain, take care of my health so that I can function during the days when I need to. I'm got to edit this goddamn thing now. I do like watching it though. I watch myself and I go, I think it's pretty funny. I don't know if the wooden fruit thing is going to work. And then I watch it and go, you know what? That wooden fruit thing worked really well. Really did. You can get plastic fruit, but it's not as fun as wooden fruit for obvious reasons. So hopefully someday more people will learn and we'll get the truth. But yeah, I'm probably my own worst enemy and all that. So there's these 4 articles if you're curious, if you don't want to just read my bullshit. I'm quoted a bunch in this one, in the Kim Kelly one here in the New Republic. But yep, they're all good. They're all worth reading. And they're all like properly researched. Like there's these, that's why they're worth their sources, because like the TYT hasn't contested any of the details in any of these articles. They interviewed workers. One of them interviewed me. And I think Cenk is quoted in at least 2 of them, I'm pretty sure. But for sure in this big one here, the April 10th, 2020 by Alex Thompson. And this guy's been getting a ton of stuff regarding Trump. I've been seeing him a bunch, turning up with reporting and whatever. So there we go. That's it. Have a good one. That's all. Like and subscribe. Patreon.com if you want. Please. Somebody gave me $16 million, so it'd make me feel a lot better. But if you don't have that kind of money, maybe $5, maybe $4, maybe even as high as $6. I feel like I have to say something. We're all going to get really sick of the coconuts, by the way. I know people are having fun, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer or a hanky. What would be Debbie Downer? Hanky cranky. Jesus Christ. But the coconut thing is just obnoxious. But I have a very fast eye roll reflex. I'm just like, oh, fucking shit. This planet could be permanent vacation interrupted by like a couple months of work for everybody. But we got to have bosses who don't do work, but they have meetings where they control how much work you do. And they've at every single stage of production, from the carving it out of the ground to it being hauled away from your house after you've consumed it. There's just some asshole that doesn't work that makes money off of it. And then you die if you don't have enough. The rich people will withhold your life. They'll hold your life hostage to you because they control the keys to the hospital. All right, well, vote Kamala. Bye.